Hey everybody, and welcome. Oh my god, it is finally that time. The long-awaited, it literally was 1 year in the making, the 1 year special.
The 1 year special.
It took us exactly 1 year to get to this point. It's actually episode 51 if you're counting, which means we might have missed 1 week or two, but still, we have got here.
Week.
It is awesome. It is great. Oh my god. This has been, seriously
Hi, guys.
Hi everybody. And if this is your first time joining us, you didn't miss much. I'm just kidding. You have to go back.
We apologize.
Check everything.
Yeah. Well, we've only been doing the Twitch thing since earlier this year, I think.
Yeah, it hasn't been
but we
long.
started off.
But most of it has been mostly just simple audio podcasts. It's like any
Yep.
standard old podcast that you would see anywhere else. But if you haven't
I'm
seen
looking
us
back
before,
right now. Our very first episode, we were talking
I had that
about.
actually pulled up too.
That's funny. We're talking about Pokemon Go,
Yep.
No Man's Sky, and Star Citizen.
As well as Shadow of the Colossus, Guild Wars 2, Kingdom of Amalur, Dragon Age the series, Mass Effect the series, Samurai 3, and Kentucky Route Zero, Episode 4.
Wow, boy,
if-
we haven't changed at all,
I
have
was
we?
going to say, if you're going to listen to
Yikes.
this stream or any other stream, those same concepts or those same games are probably in, I'd say, roughly half.
All of them?
If not
half,
more.
yeah, half.
If not more. So I thought it was kind of funny because I was thinking the same thing going back to our very first episode ever, exactly what we talked about. But oh my god, this has been insane in terms of what we've been doing. And if this is the first time you've ever seen us, I mean, we are Addicted to Loot. We are a upscale, funny, laid-back, humorous,
What's the word
hang
you
out,
use? I can't
chill,
remember.
gaming gaming entertainment
Conglomerate.
We're a gaming entertainment conglomerate. Focus around
Brands.
specifically around this podcast where we talk games. We talk PC games. We invite people to come, relax with us, chill with us, and just talk games. For the most part, as opposed to us just talking directly at you, which is, half of the fun of this, but also we do like to have the occasional feedback every once in a while. But we also include live Twitch, yeah. Twitch is the right word there. So, live Twitch streams, we also do YouTube videos and all sorts of other stuff. And we do have a cool, awesome, amazing website, which is addictedtoloot.com. You should go check it out. Lots of fun things, and actually some in-development things special for the website that might be coming up within a podcast or two. But we've been planning this for a long
That
time.
soon? Uh-oh.
I was trying to figure out an indefinite timeline.
I'm going to get my shit together. Anyway.
But yes, so with that, I know some of you might have noticed that we are not doing the exact layout of our usual podcast. Usually what we do, we cover all hot gaming news. We do any type of features or general topics of conversation or discussion, and then go into our playlist and then our Forgot Tua. So, which is
That's
also...
fine. I'm looking at the way you dressed up this stream right now.
It's very dressed up. All the things. This is about as far as my creative side goes. So for all those watching, this is what you get. So, with that, our little layout this week is a little bit different. We actually decided to do something very special, very unique for this podcast, for this amazing 1 year episode. And we actually wanted to do a feature on our personal top 5 games of all time. Period. I mean, as far as you can go. Future, past, present, as far as you can get it.
Top 5-ish.
Mostly.
Top 5 with a little asterisk next to it.
We came up with this idea, and then within a day we were like, holy crap, there's a lot of games.
Looking at this
It's
list.
just like...
I will say, I did narrow mine down. I don't know what Brian picked. Brian doesn't know what I picked. But I did narrow mine down to 5 with all sorts of addendums. Like, this game represents all of these types of games.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I have a finalist list and then the chosen 5.
Yeah,
So
I have an honorable
actually-
mentions list.
I actually wanted to do this as something fun between the two of us. I want you, don't tell me, write it down somewhere. I want you to preemptively guess if we're going to have a game, if we're going to have the same game as one of our top 5s.
Okay.
And
yeah,
if so,
yes.
how many? Because I already have an idea. I think that many. Okay, so I have mine. I have my answer.
I have a prediction.
And if you want to play
I've
at
written
home,
it down.
you know, put it in the chat. Let's see if anyone out there can actually get this right ahead of us.
How many games people think that we're going to have in
Put that
common?
in chat and let's just see. Is this thing on or am I broken? Can't hear anything. You definitely should be able to hear something. I definitely can hear.
Yep, I can.
Tom
I
can
can
hear.
hear us.
If anyone else out there can't hear us, please let us know. But everything on my end says
Could it be muted?
No.
Down there.
No.
Not you, Ambling Panda.
I was going to say, all of my little sound bars are jumping up green. So I know they're excited.
Yep.
They're ready to go just as much as we are.
I can hear us on our stream in another window here.
So there we go. So at least we believe this thing is definitely on.
Hope you figure it out.
But if you can't hear us or if you can't hear us, please put this in chat.
Oh, wait a minute. If she can't hear us, then...
Cough, with your cough. Oh, God.
If she can't hear us, then everything that we're saying right now...
Might be null and void. But it sounds like we're at least... Some of us can hear us. So, with that, now, for those people at home, watching from home, please put your answers below.
Didn't this happen last week with Pretty Ideal? She came on, she was like, oh, I can't see you guys, but I just wanted to say hi. And we're like, hi!
And then, bronk. Yeah, we all try to
second.
wave at her. Okay, so... This is what we're going to do. I'm going to go through my 5. Tom's going to go through his 5. And we're just going to do it with that. And, we think we have a certain timeline about how long this will take, but we're going to, of course, kind of try to prove this wrong.
If you guys haven't noticed, we completely have ditched news this week.
We are fixed.
We're anticipating that this is going to take
a while.
Pretty much the
But,
episode. This is our history episode.
Yeah,
this is our
1 year,
clip.
So we need to do something special.
This is our before the final episode of the season, where you have just highlights, where the writers were like, "Oh shit, we don't have a 9th episode.
Okay.
Let's just show clips." I do have a question for you, Brian. A little inside baseball here. Do we want flailing and shouting?
Inside baseball?
A little inside baseball here. Do we want to do 5, and then our extras, or do you want to do your complete sweep of stuff and my complete sweep of stuff?
Let's do the second version of that because I can work mine into everything as I
Okay,
go.
cool. Good,
Okay.
good. All right, so...
With that, I'm on the clock. So I wanted to tell people before I started exactly how I did this. So I actually thought, how old do I think I was?
I do want to... One last thing before we get started. We will have our regular playlists after this.
Oh, yes. We definitely... They're down below. They're on here. So if you're watching this live... The playlist is regular.
We have some really special stuff, like Brian has been playing with an Oculus Rift, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about Remember Me, big time. So those are coming later in the episode.
Okay, so am I good?
Go for it. I will
sure?
stop interrupting.
Sure.
I say.
Okay, so... Okay, so how I did this was I went back to as far as I think I could remember playing games. I'm like, okay, so about 6 years old. So just to date myself, that's about 1994. So I went from that year onward, going through every game release list that I could find, trying to figure out what games I did play around that time, what games were around, and everything else. I went through there and started sifting them out. And kind of as a spoiler, I stopped at the year 2012, and none of the games that are on my list are after 2007. So, with that, I also need to say a big shout out to 2003. That was by far...
2003, if you're out there, man, you my dog.
I was actually looking when I went through all this. 2003 was by far one of the greatest years of gaming. I'm going to read out
2003, 2005. We've actually talked on this podcast. We had like a chunk of an episode devoted to the year 2005.
2005 was also up there, but I actually think 2003 we had the original Prince of Persia, the original Knights of the Old Republic, the first ever Need for Speed Underground, Lord of the Rings Return of the King, the original Call of Duty, all in 1 year. Oh my freaking god. Okay, so with all that... Whew, I don't know. This is hard.
Psychonauts. Yes, Psychonauts is good.
I actually haven't yet to play that game.
It's good.
I've heard about it. I've yet to play it. Okay. So
does a lot.
I wanted to get by far the most obvious, the most easiest. Everyone in the world could probably guess this.
That's right. It's Solitaire.
No, it's Winnie Pooh's Rubbly Tumbly Adventure.
Oh, that's right, Winnie the Pooh's
Come
Rubbly
on,
Tumbly
Tom.
Adventure.
Okay, but no, seriously. My number one top 5 game of my personal all-time was the Mass Effect series, by far. Okay, that was easy number 1. I had to put it on there. There was no point in looking. It was just going to happen.
So now I want to specify, you're probably talking about 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyone who lumps an Andromeda in there should be shot.
Ooh.
Yes, the original Mass Effect series, the only damn good one in this world. But anyway, so yes, I'm talking about Mass Effect.
Problematic opinion.
So Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. I was trying to think, okay, these are top 5 games of all time. So I was trying to pick one out, but I couldn't. Mm-hmm. That was the hard part.
Oh God, I'm sorry. I did that the wrong direction.
Peace.
And apologies to any UK viewers.
But so I actually picked this series because I just couldn't, like I said, I just couldn't pick one. I loved Mass Effect 1 just because of the fact of how novel it was, the original setting, the original adventure, meeting all the characters, meeting my Shepard, figuring out the plot line, figuring out the deep, rich history of Mass Effect. 2 in of itself is probably by far the best overall game in character development, mission, story mode, gameplay, all that fun stuff. And then 3 was just, I know some people have mixed opinions on 3, but for 3 for me was like the ultimate emotional ride for a game. Like, regardless of what you thought about the gameplay, the setting, the storyline, or whatever else, this game just tugged at my heart the entire frickin' time. So, as an entire journey from Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3, is the reasoning why this is on my top 5. It's just, this was like one of the pinnacle cornerstones of my gaming career, without an absolute doubt.
Mass Effect, for me, is my favorite sci-fi franchise that isn't Star Wars. That's it.
That's
I mean, that's like as high a praise as I can get it.
Yeah.
You know, like it is absolutely. Mass Effect 2 is. Do we say games that are not on our list? Can I say that Mass Effect is actually not on my list?
Really? Wow. Woo. Oh, now this is getting intriguing.
Yeah.
Because that was the one game I thought we would have. Ooh.
Mass Effect is not on my list, and when we get to mine, we'll talk about that. But I love Mass Effect. I really do. And Mass Effect 2 especially. Stellar game. And a lot of people have said, I want to play the original series, but it's 3 games. It's like, yeah, you could start with 2. You could do 2 and 3 and have a good experience.
I personally think you have to start with 1.
However, if you start with 1, 3 is going to just friggin' kill you. But if you start with 2, 3 is going to be a good game.
You have to do 1 to get the whole journey. I know sometimes people get hung up on the limits of technology back when it was first released back in
2008? 7?
7. So 2007. Yeah. But
the difference between Mass Effect 1 and 3 is not huge. It's not like The Witcher and The Witcher 2 and
but
Wild Hunt.
There was a huge jump between 1 and 2, though. There was a pretty huge jump between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
2 and 3, there was another huge jump, but not in the terms of technology, just in terms of gameplay. The gameplay...
Yeah.
All 3 games had completely different gameplay, which is interesting for a series. But, like I said, I personally loved 1. If I had to pick 1... I would have to pick the first one just because of what it was and what it meant for the series and what it meant to me specifically. Not dissing the other 2, it's just I think if I had to pick one out of the 3, I would have to go with the first one. Because to me...
Sort of like out of respect.
Well, it's just that the first one to me... I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the second one. It was definitely extremely enjoyable. Everything else about it like all around, like, graphics, gameplay... depth, mission selection, accessories, side quests, and all the other crap were by far probably the best overall. But to me, like I said, 2 and 3 would mean nothing without 1, and 1 to me had the original awe and wonder effect of Mass Effect, because 2 is just like, okay, this is all similar. This is all what it was.
See, I like 2 because it's streamlined. It's like it's like The Empire Strikes Back. It's like, these characters, now we're going to throw them into just the worst case scenarios, and how are they going to deal,
But if you didn't play the first one, you wouldn't know these characters.
That's true. That's true.
But like I said, that's the main
reason.
It's
like, actually, that's like Star Wars, because weirdly, my opinion on the original Star Wars trilogy, like, first Star Wars movie, you have to have it. It's
Episode
essential.
4?
A New Hope, yeah, it's essential. And without it, Empire Strikes Back wouldn't be as stellar as it is. Empire Strikes Back is freaking legendary. That's just held in like the highest regard. But my favorite Star Wars film is actually Return of the Jedi, just because it's got a lot of iconic stuff. It wraps everything up. It has a feel-good vibe. It's got cool stuff. I like Endor. But I love all three of them for different reasons. So that's how I feel kind of about Mass Effect. It's like Mass Effect 2.
I love all of them for different reasons.
Yeah.
But the series in and of itself is why I had to choose it. Just because of the journey it took me on, and the fact, like, this to me is always the first game I go to. I have to say, the one game that I just could not put down, and it was like the game that if I wasn't playing it, I was thinking about it. Like, any waking moment I had, I spent playing these games as soon as I had them. Like, that was the thing. Like, that's how I lumped these in. So, with that, my related honorable mentions goes big shout out to all the old school BioWare RPGs that got me into RPGs. That is Baldur's Gate, The Dark Alliance, the original Knights of the Old Republic. I think those are the two main ones that I had on here. So, both of which drastically shaped my gaming background. Love Knights of the Old Republic on the original Xbox. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, I think, on the PS2, I believe.
I actually played that on an Xbox, but it wasn't mine, so...
Yeah, I think mine was on the original PS2. And, I mean, including that, I mean, you also have... I mean, all the Baldur's Gates were absolutely incredible. I mean, the BioWare RPGs, just throughout time, up until they got bought out by EA, were just incredible. Absolutely insane. Now, the second one on my list. This game, I was spending a lot of time on this list, and this game came to me like in a flash. Like, I'm just like, this has to be on it. It wasn't a question. It hit my mind. I'm like, this just has to be on here because of how it shaped my future. This is the game that permanently and utterly got me addicted to MMORPGs, and which has then pushed my career out. Even to this day, I still have a soft spot for MMORPGs. With that, you could probably guess what it is, considering I've talked about it a lot on this stream, but that is Final Fantasy XI.
There it is.
Absolutely, Final Fantasy XI. This is interesting because I logged about, I don't know, a couple weeks, maybe an actual month of real-time play into this game, which, if you think about it, isn't all that much comparatively to specifically to MMORPGs. And arguably, I did not get that far into it. I really didn't like max out a character. I didn't hit endgame. I didn't do all that. But I spent just tons of time into this game back when I couldn't even remember how old I was. Like 5th or 6th grade, I think it was about when it first came out. For at least,
really?
Yeah.
Wow!
I remember buying the original vanilla.
Oh my god!
And I think I was at least in maybe 6th grade. The original vanilla Final Fantasy 11.
See, the only point of reference I have is I remember when 10 came out and I remember when 12 came out. So it's like, oh my god, that's right. It would be in between those, wouldn't it?
But okay, Mark, the Final Fantasy 7 is actually a standalone offline RPG. Final Fantasy 11 was their very first MMORPG, which is why it's kind of in a different league, I believe. You can consider MMORPGs and offline RPGs, I think, in the same boat. I just think it's unfair.
Sure.
But anyway.
The only real gray area is games like Star Wars The Old Republic.
Exactly.
Like, this holds up well as a single-player game.
Yeah, that could arguably be a gray area. But so going back to Final Fantasy 11. So for me, Final Fantasy 11 was one of these games where, it was the very first time I got to basically be a part of a everlasting, always happening world, especially surrounded by other real people in a game, bound together in a community. And to me, it just was, it just had the overwhelming awe effect. Like, I still to this day remember, like, wandering into a zone, going around a corner to this huge open scene of a landscape of just this massive, huge crystal, just like dancing and spinning, and just like I just remember staring at it for I couldn't tell you how long, just because I was in awe of like how gorgeous and how like how like the macro size of this game.
It's those moments where you stop and you're like panning the camera around, and in your head you're just like, "Oh my god!" But really, it's your character just standing there.
Yeah, and it's like, like my mind.
People are running by like on their mounts.
My mind's exploding, and my character's just standing there in a pose, and then eventually he sits down, and then like the AFK goes across his head.
Yeah,
but oh my!
But in your head, you're just like,
I just loved this game because there was the first time like. You'd like my starting city, like my very first character ever, I think, was actually Vylos. I think that was one of my very first ever Vylos.
Really?
Which is like my actual, for anyone that's ever played with me, my standard character name.
Yeah, that's like your tag.
He
your
was
tag.
a male elven. I forget exactly. I think I started out as a red mage, and then I said, "Screw it, I hate this class," and then went to being a warrior. But I still remember going into the main city and still having the same effect, walking around, going into the castle, going to all the different little sections, and just being in awe of the scale of this game, the design of this game. Like, it actually felt like for the very first time I was in like a world that was outside of the real one, as opposed to like any other game you go in, like the NPCs are kind of programmed and stuff like that. This one felt real enough to the point where I'm like, I'm actually going to the market. Oh my god! Oh no! I need to go venture forth to go save this village from a orc attack. I actually feel like I'm doing this. Da 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 da. So, and I still remember. I mean, the battle system, it had levels of complexity that to this compared to today definitely wouldn't stand up or anything else. Very probably basic.
Was it like Final Fantasy Combat? I never played the weapons, so I know.
It wasn't like turn-based or anything else, but basically,
right.
You click the guy, you hit attack, you ran up to him, you start swinging. And basically,
so like an MMO,
yeah. And you sat there and just kind of watched your guy go. And occasionally, you would you would trigger your skills, you would manage your talents, drink potions or anything else, hit macros and whatnot. But for the most part, like combat for me, as a warrior specifically, was just hitting the guy first and just constantly spamming taunt whenever it came off cooldown. And then for the most part, it was just me smacking him with a spear. Because I actually was trying to do the advanced class of the Dragoon, so I was trying to level up my spear as best I could, but then you had shields and everything else. But I loved all the classes, I loved all the races, I loved all the areas you could go to. I loved the fact that you could like dual class, meaning like you would have a primary class and a secondary class, and what that meant for your job. I loved the fact that every single little piece of gear looked different and had like a visual effect on your character. All the little types of like fishing and gathering and mining. And
it's funny because you're talking about stuff like the combat and having an intentional way of sort of a build for your character and things like that. I didn't start doing that in MMOs until a few years ago. Like I have played MMOs my whole life. Some of the first things I was doing on the internet were looking for basically, I want a virtual chat room. That was like when the concept of the internet was like open to my me, little me. I was like, I want to be a 3D avatar in a space with other people. What a cool idea. So MMOs for me were always, what's the coolest looking chat room? And only until I started playing stuff like Guild Wars was when I started to think, oh, hey, this is actually fun to like fight the monsters and things like that. And, or, I want to be this type of class, which means I have to do this type of thing. I didn't even quest, in MMOs until probably 2010, So
which is interesting.
That's the thing.
That's the interesting part because
they were always social experiences for me.
Yeah, because I always hated Guild Wars. I don't know why. I just could not get into Guild Wars, which is hilarious. And going
it's
to Mark's
okay,
comment, they said 11 reused skins. That is true, but for when I was in 6th grade, that was still huge. That the vast majority of items look different. Even the skins that got reused, they were slightly different colors to show that one was leather and one was iron or anything else like that. Or, one was a black mage, one was a white mage. They still did something to try to differentiate it, regardless if they reused skins or not. But back when, literally, one of the original MMOs, one of the original AAA MMOs, this actually came out before WoW. You know that?
See, I never played WoW.
I played WoW.
I only ever played WoW when I was at a friend's house or things like that, but I never owned it.
This is actually pre-WoW, which is interesting. I actually forgot about that fact, but when I was researching it, that's what happened. But like I said, that's mainly just the reason why I loved it. And that's like, and kind of spoiler for later, I started to try to play Final Fantasy 14 again, the latest Final Fantasy MMO. And it's kind of similar. I mean, they try to use a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same races, a lot of the same class and stuff like that. But it's just not the same, and I'll get to that later. But
Sure.
Final Fantasy XI definitely started out my absolute love for MMOs, and that spiraled into Final Fantasy XI. Obviously, I did WoW for a long time. I did the Warhammer MMO for a while. I did Lord of the Rings Online for a while.
Oh, you played that?
Yeah, for a little
Was
while,
that
not
good?
much.
Yeah,
back when
I remember that.
Back when I first played it, it's kind of meh.
See, like when and I do have an MMO, I think, on my list. Let me just check real quick. I don't.
actually never played EverQuest, which is interesting.
Okay, so, I don't have an MMO on my list, but I do have one in my honorable mentions, and I bet you know what it is. But see, when in my absolute heyday of playing MMOs, I was about 13, 14, and there was one in particular named Eternal Lands that I played, and I was involved in that. Like, I was a little bit involved in the development. I did story writing for it. I, did like light modding and stuff like that. Some very gentle design stuff on it. And it's still running. It never got huge, but it was fun. But the highlights of that for me were like there was a map that had like a full-fledged city but no NPCs in it. So I just found a tavern I really liked and would hang out there. And when people would come in, I would literally like role play a tavern NPC. I'd be like, hey there, what can I get you? We got this, and keep in my inventory like ales and wines and things like that, and exchange them for gold, and then use the gold to go out and get more. It was just like from an actual NPC, like in another village. So it was really fun in a sort of role playing perspective, like not hardcore role playing. But if I ever was faced against like, if I was faced against like the lightest, easiest enemy in that game, I would die because I never played it for combat and never leveled that stuff up. But again, it was always an MMO to me was, oh my god, I want a cool environment to have a chat room in. I made great friends through it and stuff like that. Nowadays, that's Twitter, right?
Basically, it's basically almost anything you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
light roleplay.
Knights of the Old Republic, and it goes on and it goes on and goes on. So, I mean, I just always loved MMOs. It kind of breaks my heart a little bit that they're kind of falling off the face of the earth, like Final Fantasy 14, a little bit of WoW still. Some MMOs are still kind of clinging to life, but I don't know. It still burdens me that it's not going to. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's on here that's an honorable mention? No, but...
You didn't play WildStar, right?
No, I did not.
Okay.
Nor did I play EverQuest, so that Marsh will stop pinging EverQuest in the chat. But I always kind of wanted to try EverQuest, but I don't know why. I was like, how there's I'm trying to think, like, there's League of Legends and there's Dota, and like people are like, man, I hate the other one. That was me with every other game besides EverQuest. Like when I was playing, like EverQuest was like the other MMO. I just was like, nope, sorry, didn't do it. But okay.
I'm just going to say this out loud. I was going to type it in chat, but I really like WildStar, and I would probably still be playing that if Star Wars: The Old Republic didn't come along. Like, I really like WildStar a lot. I think that's a really fun MMO.
Okay. This next one, but I think is by far the oldest on my list. And...
Pong!
Not that far.
Space Invaders!
Not that far.
King's Quest.
Closer. No.
Oh!
But, no, this is a game that I can still remember to this day, the very first time I ever played it. Like, I can still remember I was literally in, like, the back of my dad's truck, because back when, kids, we didn't have them seatbelts. So I was in the back of my dad's truck, like, unwrapping this thing and starting it up, which could be a clue if people were smart enough. And actually starting to try to remotely play it. And my brother got the same game and everything else, so we were, like, big fired up, and it was, like, a big trip. So, and then this game was just sort of, like, the very first game I can ever truly remember, like, being obsessed with, marathoning with, like, doing kind of, like, research on, working with other people on, just getting, like, fully engrossed in it, and, like, it was, like, probably, like, one of the pinnacle moments that got me firmly ever planted in the games. You know, some people are like, I picked up a baseball and I knew I wanted to be a pitcher. It's like, no, this is the thing that like I knew like this is gonna be my life.
I picked up a baseball and knew I never wanted to play baseball.
And
that's how that went.
And the big stuffed animal goes to Marsh. It is Pokemon, the original Red and Blue. Oh my god, I remember. I think my original Pokemon was Red. I think, if I can remember correctly, my original one was
You're a
Red.
purist.
Yeah, but I had to go back to the original one. I had to go back to it, and like, I know people give Pokemon a lot of crap, but back in the day, back when Pokemon was huge for us, and I still love and remember.
Oh god,
the original Pokemon.
I never owned a Game Boy, but I remember being on the playground and just like little, clusters like here or there or there. Kid just that was it. It's Pokemon. It's Pokemon. And I was just like, what is this? I knew the cards. Like I remember the cards more than the game.
I had the cards too. I still have my binder somewhere actually, which is interesting. But
oh wow,
I still have my Pokemon cards. I still have all my old like super rare first edition like holos and stuff like that, which somehow are just kind of peaking right now for who knows what. But anyway,
get those and the Beanie Babies out.
Yeah, I still have like tubs of those too.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
hashtag Y2K vintage.
But Pokemon Red and Blue for me was, like I said, it was like one of the original reasons why my family went broke on buying AA batteries. Buying the stupid little snake light that plugged into the side of the Game Boy, which never actually worked.
I was gonna say, did that even work? It's this little light on top of a Game Boy.
It's a little kind of like, not even LED because they didn't have them back then, but it's like, meh. It kind of, sort of, maybe worked, but it really didn't. You had like the connector cables to battle your friends and trade.
Did you have the camera? Did you have the Game Boy camera?
Yeah, I had the cable. Oh, you had memory packs. You had all sorts of crap. And I just remember this, like, from the time I got it till I couldn't even tell you how long. I played this game over and over and over and over and over again. I just didn't stop playing it. And then I bought Blue, which is arguably the exact same game, just with a different tint. And I still bought that one. So
these are your 20-year-old sizzling hot takes, folks.
Yeah, and
get on this.
And that was literally it. It was literally just me wanting just to play the game still. Like, it was just like, oh, I needed to get Blue. Why? Because I needed to get Blue. Like, that was the only difference. Like, oh, the guy's a different name, man. And I remember, like, replaying it and picking all, like, different for starting Pokemon again. I remember, beating the entire game with one Pokemon because I was naive. Then I remember, like, oh, I'll do something different.
The buffest Squirtle
ever. And then I remember, like, actually, like, okay, I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to grind. I'm going to, like, get Pokeballs. I'm going to assemble a team. I'm going to rotate that team and try to get, all the Pokemon and, like, make my favorite team ever and do all this other crap. And just, I want to do things the right way in the right order. And, like, the very first time, like, I did it without a strategy guide. And then it's like, oh, I'm curious with all the other little things I missed. And then you get the strategy guide. It used to be, like, this thick. And you would flip to it and you're like, go into this town, you click on this thing, and you find a magical item. Oh my god, do you remember strategy guides?
Just real quick on that, actually. I had a strategy guide for Super Mario Brothers 3.
I can't even remember.
Probably 5 years before I ever actually... No, not even. Probably like 8 years before I ever played Super Mario Brothers 3. My grandmother, I think, picked up the strategy guide at a yard sale and was like, this looks... like it's up your alley. And little 3-year-old me was like, look at all these colors. This is great. And I like memorized the level layouts and stuff. And then finally, when I was like 10, I played Super Mario Brothers 3. I was like, easy. This is like natural. Actually,
yeah, I still remember the good old days of strategy guides. I remember doing those for a lot of games. My brother had the original Final Fantasy VII strategy guide too, which was massive. But I wish I still had that thing because it's probably worth money. But I think we eventually demolished it. But oh my god! And like Pokemon Red and Blue, there wasn't much to it. Supposedly my internet connection is unstable. But Tom's internet connection's unstable. Sorry,
I'm back. I'm back.
So and then like Pokemon Red and Blue, there was a lot of challenges. There was puzzles, brain teasers. There was even some like slightly horror concept to it when you were going through the haunted tower and all that fun stuff, and trying to figure out basically going up to a gym trainer, losing because you're like, okay, well now I know his build, so I'm gonna go out and get every Pokemon I can that's like completely against that, grind them all up, and then beat him. Like, oh, and I know he's approximately level 30, so I need to get like about that level with my Pokemon to make sure I beat him. And then keeping going back and forth and looking at all my pretty little black and white badges because the original Game Boy was like as big of a brick and as technologically advanced as a brick too. And it was just, oh my god, these games, I love these games. I still have these games technically, but and even to this day, like every once in a while, I'll still download the emulator and play it. Just like not even like, don't you want the more advanced one? Screw the advanced one. I want the original one.
No, like vintage, man. Vintage.
I want vintage.
Speaking of vintage,
video game.
The Game Boy Color has still, I think, one of my favorite designs of any system ever.
I had the original Game Boy, the Game Boy 2, the Game Boy Color.
The purple translucent Game Boy Color was so cool looking.
I think I had every Game Boy, even the very first ever horizontal one. I forget what the hell it was called, but it wasn't because the Game Boy Color was originally vertical. Then there was another one after that was horizontal. I forget what the hell it was called, but that was
it's time for chat to come to our rescue.
But I remember having that one as well. Oh my god, I love that. I actually don't have any other Game Boy games on here, even though there's tons of them. I had tons of that was like the original system, especially considering my family traveled a lot and I needed to be glued to a video game, so I just had tons of Game Boy games. I
like the way of just like, well, we traveled a lot and I needed it.
I needed games.
This was
Game Boy Advance.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs right here.
Yeah, it was Game Boy Advance. That is correct. Thank you, Ambling Panda. That coming to the rescue.
You're the MVP.
Definitely Game Boy Advance. Love that one too. And the thing was, Game Boy Advance had micro cartridges because it was shallow. So regular Game Boy cartridges stuck out the back, and then you could get them stuck on shit or break them, which was like a horrible oversight. But no, we needed to have it, or I should say, I needed to have it. I remember
Game Boy Advance because I remember it as GBA.
Yeah, there you go. I still remember making my mom go like, we need to go to every store in the town to find this stupid thing because I want it. And oh my god, my mom put up with a lot of things. But Pokemon Red and Blue, loved it so much. It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where I put all my other I'll probably just save these to the end because I don't really have good tie-ins for any of the rest of this. Thank you, Sovings Gaming. You are now a loot addict. Thanks for joining the addiction. Woo! Thank you for the follow. Okay, so my next one. Another one that is probably not a surprise, and I did it almost out of pure principle, but I needed to do it, but it's true. This game definitely was, to me, a piece of video game, artwork that everyone needs to cherish and needs to be experienced with once, because it was like, for me personally, it was like you just could not miss this day in gaming. It was just a game that it was game changing in so many ways. It featured only boss battles. It had
I already know what it is.
It had completely.
I was like, this is going to be on his list. This is going to be.
Yeah. It was completely and utterly silent. Literally no words, no dialogue, no verbal text. Nothing was spoken, and it just took you on. Thank you, Ambling Panda, for the follow. Join the addiction. And it still took you on a journey, even though it completely and utterly by the seat of your pants, and it made you just feel such raw emotion. But Tom already knows what it is, and you can actually play it coming this year or next year in complete and utter remaster. That is, of course, Shadow of the Colossus. It is absolutely...
Yeah!
Sup, Spicy Pepper 11. But yeah, Shadow of the Colossus... Oh my god, this game. I still, like I said, to this day, to even very first episode of Addicted to Loot, we talked about this game, and I keep bringing it up. And that's just how much I love this game. This game was, like I said, it broke so many barriers that people would think would make a game fail, and it more than succeeded on it. To this day, a lot of people still bring it up as, like the pinnacle of gaming sometimes.
What is your favorite Colossus?
Oh, that's so hard.
I know mine.
Thank you, Spicy Pepper, for joining the addiction. Woo! Thank you for the follow. But that's hard because I've tried to enter this myself multiple times, and I actually have an image of all the Colossus that I'm going to pick up right now just to make sure I get this right. But
oh god, yeah, I don't know the actual names of them.
I don't know. Now, here's the thing. My most enjoyable Colossus, meaning the Colossus that I just liked battling the most, completing the most. Where the hell is my... Oh, there's...
I know mine.
So here's the first one. So my absolute favorite. Okay, do you want to go on?
I was gonna say that it's the same as Marshy. It's a dirge. It's the flying one.
The first flying one or the second flying one?
The second flying one.
The big one.
That I think is it dirge? Is that the one? I'm thinking of the one. No, it's not dirge. It's like Parthenax or something like that. The one that flies and you run up alongside
the large flying,
and you have to shoot like the bladders so it comes down. Oh no, dirge is my least favorite, dude. The one with that hops
eyeballs.
Up. I hated that one.
The one with the eyeballs. You have to look behind you and shoot.
Oh, that was the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
You had to ride your horse while it was like.
He was one of the. There was two snake-ish ones, and he was the one in the sand.
What's the flying one?
I forget. I really forget all their names. But okay. So for me personally, my most enjoyable one, I think, was the third to last boss. It was the one that was basically a little mini bull. It was basically the whole point of this Colossus was that he just destroyed everything. He literally charged through it, and he would like knock buildings down. He would knock towers over. And for me, this was my most enjoyable one, just because it was like, you know, the events in a lot of adventure games now, where they actually, you know, the camera flips behind you and you need to run like towards yourself because there's shit happening in the background and you need to like get away from it. This one was that, and you knew it was coming because you could see him, like, you come up and like he appears like, oh, he's tiny, why do I care? And also he's like, ka-choosh, and then like the wall falls over, you're like, shit, and you start
small
jumping.
But important.
You start like jumping and like it was most enjoyable to me because this game was not a platformer. It was not made to be a platformer. It was made to, like, you use the jumping mechanic to climb on the Titans or Colossus, hold on to them and kill them, or maybe occasionally climb up a ledge. This entire mission was you needed to master all of that in quick succession in order to not die. So for me personally, it was like challenging, it was enjoyable, it was unique, it was the only one of its kind, and it was just amazing. And then he finally goes through one wall, he kind of gets weaker a little bit, and then you start to try to, like, you have to, like, jump off a ledge and, like, spear him through the head or something like that. But, I don't know, like, I think one of my favorite conceptual ones was either the thoughts, I'll get to that, the flying one that you were talking about. I definitely enjoyed that one. It was unique. It was, the fact that you were flying was insane. I love that one.
The music for him is
it was
cool.
So
it's
great.
Like I've described it before as a Spanish apocalypse.
Yeah, it was. I did love that character. That character was a lot of fun. I actually enjoyed a lot of the Colossi better than the final boss, which, you know, I guess it's here and there. But my other favorite one, I think, was the other flying one that actually that went submerged in the water. And you had
the
to
bird.
try to figure out. Yeah, but Dirge I have to speak up on, because Dirge was fun because it was like the Dark Souls boss. It was just hard. It was difficult because it was hard to steer your horse, turn around, aim and shoot, and not run into a wall and then like instantly die. But I did like Dirge a lot. I actually like Dirge a whole lot. But like I said, I just can't speak highly enough of this game. So going to the ending with Marsh's question, what are my thoughts on the ending? Well, just to kind of take you through the ending. So
spoilers.
It was 1995. Come on.
No. What? No.
No, sorry.
2005.
2005. It was the one. It was just. That's what my list was on. But anyway, 2005. So, sorry, spoilers. I don't care. So, you're gonna go to the last Colossi. You jump over a collapsing bridge. Unfortunately, your horse goes down. That, to me, was one of the worst moments in gaming history, because I actually paused the game and had to collect myself because I was just, like, so emotionally attached.
Friggin' never-ending story shit.
Yeah,
right there.
Exactly. I was, like, so emotionally attached to a horse that didn't speak to me, didn't do a damn thing, but I was so emotionally attached to this thing. So that was the first part. The final boss himself, the final Colossi, was just massive. That was this entire thing. He was just massively scaled. You have to, like, jump from one hand to another hand and perfectly timed and kill him. The actual ending itself, I thought was interesting. I'm not sure if I liked it, kind of, but I don't know. It's kind of weird. I guess, like, the whole conception of the fact that, because first off, you come in bringing a girl, you're not sure if she's alive or dead. Apparently she must have been somewhat conflicted with something, that somehow these Colossi, the spirit of the Colossi, somehow either cured or stayed in the way of. So you finally absorb this last Colossi, and you turn into one yourself. You basically get plagued, and you get turned into one. Somehow, people from afar, some knights or something, come in, they kill you, you turn into a baby, and then like it shows the baby, the girl who survived, and then your horse, which also survived, which I was like, oh, thank God, because I could not, like, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep that night if the horse actually died. But it's just kind of weird. I mean, I guess I could see what they were saying about it, and like obviously the baby, the girl, and the horse live happy ever after. I guess maybe in the land of the Colossi, which is, I don't know, but I don't know. It was definitely different. It was interesting. I like the fact that I got to play a Colossi. I wasn't sure if there was like an actual way that you could win it, like actually survive the last mission, which I doubt because it was like kind of the whole entire final cutscene. But I don't know. It was definitely interesting, but I don't know if it was as good as the entire game itself. I'll put it that way. Okay, now
it was the first time I experienced an ending like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that was pretty impactful.
Now here is the hard one, because I've still to this moment have been like wondering which game I'm going to pick fifth, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 finalists that like I have to choose from for this fifth game, and I was trying to think, well, this game's really good. But, I mean, arguably you could say this game's better. But I'm like, this game is awesome, but I only played it once. Is that really my favorite game? Like I was thinking, like, I had to have another game that, like, shaped out a portion of my life, or a large portion of my life, meaning, like, it was either, never ending, either it was just that incredible that it just was everlasting, or a game that I just couldn't stop playing, and I played it over and over and over, and once again, I got obsessed with it, and, like, even though I beat it, I would still play it a year later, because it's like, you know what, I haven't played this game in a while, I need to play it again. That kind of game. And that's actually the game I went with, and this game probably wasn't it was well-reviewed, but it probably wasn't, like, incredibly reviewed. Probably wasn't as well the most technically sound game or anything else, but to me, it was just an absolutely joy to play. We still talk about it on the podcast to this day. I usually bring it up every once in a while just as like a big throwback game that I just could not live without. And it shaped probably at least the middle part of my high school career, of our high school career. It was big throughout our entire school. I'm trying to give Tommy hints to see.
I have no idea which one it is, though.
How do I want to announce this? Like I said, I could be hard-pressed to pick 11 other games to put into the spot. So take this with, take this with like a grain of salt, because I just needed to pick one, and this is the one I picked just because I felt like I can look back in my memories and still think of this game shaping up a huge part of my life. And that is a game that features the one and only soundtrack of Riders of the Storm, Need for Speed Underground 2. I had to choose it because...
No kidding.
Yes, because... Like I said, people might not say it's that great of a game or that well reviewed or anything else, but to me, this game was pure joy for me. I loved it. It's like probably one of the only racing games that I truly and utterly liked. So like, I am not a racing fan at all. I do not like racing games. I never really got into racing games. Need for Speed Underground and Underground 2 are about the only racing games I ever even played, and that was even like a battle to try to get me to play them. But Need for Speed Underground 2, I mean, the soundtrack was incredible. I loved it. All the different cars were insane. The feature of the fact that you could customize and pimp out your own car, change up the performance of each one, drive around an open world city, and just have a great time. You didn't even need to race. You could just do whatever the hell you wanted. You had a progression system. You could just literally just replay the game over and over, trying to use different cars that you never thought about actually using. And it was just, oh my god, I loved this game. I absolutely loved this game. Even this one, I almost went with the original Need for Speed, but I'm just like, I don't know, the second one was just that much better. I don't know, I just liked the second one that much more. I don't know, like I said, it's so hard to say because I have so many other good games.
I'm keeping my comments to myself.
What? Okay, I'm interesting. Why? Like, out of like disgust, surprise?
No, out of the opposite of disgust. A little bit of surprise. We'll get to my list.
Okay. because let me put this into context. I'll actually say I'll try not to talk about them because I already took up basically an hour. So my honorable mentions, which go back very far, I mean, they include GoldenEye 007, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, the original Prince of Persia, Knights of the Old Republic, Dot Hack, the series. If anyone out there knows Dot Hack, the series, you are probably my best friend. Because Dot Hack was probably one of the most, what's to say, like, probably the greatest RPG that got the least amount of coverage and probably the least amount of press. It was completely and utterly underrated. Absolutely incredible series. I still wish I could find those games somewhere because I would still play them to this day. Amazing, amazing story. The only reason why I didn't pick it is because you couldn't really customize your main character. You were just set with it. That's the only reason. Like, that's how like close these bars were for making it onto my list. Like, I had to sit there and go, well, I love this game, but I would have liked it a little bit more if I could have customized my class. Therefore, sorry, you can't make the top 5. Like, that literally is how this went. So, Dot Hack, I have Total War Rome, the original amazing Total War that actually, concreted my love of Total War games for the most part up until recently. But Total War was another game that I just spent endless amount of time putting hours into this game, playing it over and over and over again. The sheer scale of using mass armies to kill other mass armies, and then watch it happen. Like, watch. Oh my god, these two... Like, I remember zooming in as far as I could and just watching two guys just like, dink, dink, and it's like, I'm like, get him!
Get it, little people!
And,
fight for me!
The original Dawn of War. The first original Dawn of War. The original Warhammer 40k RTS ever. Because I just can't say enough about this game. It was just incredible. I loved RTSs. RTSs were actually my original way of getting into PC gaming specifically. I only played almost exclusively RTSs on PC. Everything else was on console. So when I stumbled onto 40k Dawn of War, the original one, it really was just like I wasn't really super familiar with it. I was like, oh, this game looks cool. And I started playing it, and once again, I just... What? Okay, hold up. Because the original Dawn of War was an awesome game. I'm sorry, but it was a great game. It was extremely enjoyable. It did things that no other RTS did, which was extremely dark, grim, tons of gore, sync kills. I mean, all those were just unheard of at the time in RTSs. I absolutely loved Dawn of War. I, once again, spent hours into this game playing, let's just say, all the different races, all the different expansions, the storyline, and everything else. Once again, I do not accept the opinions of people born many years after us. When this thing first came out, it was insane because
Chat's getting salty.
Dawn of War 2 was not better, in my personal opinion. I did not like I like Dawn of War 2, don't get me wrong. I love Dawn of War 1, I love Dawn of War 2, but I still would choose 1 over 2. But that being said, this is my list, not yours.
I am not looking forward to everyone's reactions to my list.
But like I said, this is my list, not yours. And plus, it didn't even make my top 5, so shut up. I just love this game because it was just... I still remember playing, like, just the random custom battles just so I could use the, like, mega units that had different sync kills. You know, a Chaos Demon picking up a guy, butting his head off and throwing him, and just, like, blood going... Whoosh, like, that didn't happen in our game, or in our day and age. Back when that first came out... For those people who can remember back that far.
Those of us born in 1990.
89, thank you very much.
Oh, that's right.
I was an 80s baby.
You're an 80s kid. But, I was an 80s concept.
Oh, God. But,
I was in the 80s for like 3 months.
But like I said, like this was a RTS... This was a type of game that just didn't happen. This was like the first game that did not pull punches about gore, violence, and anything else. Like this was the first game that didn't try to paint you a pretty picture or something. It was just... You know, it was purely and utterly itself, which is why I love it. It was just like me personally, I love this game because of what it meant to me when I got it. Woo! Go Pretty Ideal! Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I did play the original Doom. I liked the original Doom, but not on here. I also have Diablo on here too. Some of the original Diablos too. Because
I'm curious that you didn't
pick.
I'm curious that you didn't pick BioShock.
See.
I thought that was a real big one for you.
No, it wasn't because don't get me wrong, I love BioShock. BioShock was a game that I wholeheartedly enjoyed, but it wasn't a game that shaped anything for me. Like, I remember, like, when BioShock Infinite came out, I loved the game. We spoke about it a lot. I remember marathoning it as much as I could, but once again, it didn't, like, it wasn't, it was just, like, it was the crowning moment of of that week or so. It wasn't the crowning moment of that year. It wasn't the crowning moment of, like, that era of gaming for me. Even the original BioShock, when I first bought it, it was good, but it wasn't, like, it didn't, like, blow me out of the water. It had its shortcomings. It definitely was a great game, but I definitely, no, BioShock wasn't that big of a game for me.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I
think of it because you were the first person who ever talked about BioShock. That when the first one came out, you were talking about it. So
it was not overrated, and that's the last thing I'll say. And then stop looking at chat. But which is interesting too, because we
are welcome to differing opinions here at Addicted to Loot. We are just having fun.
Because this is interesting because I
do want to say
he knows far more about 40K lore than I ever will. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
But next one on my
do not be afraid to have dissenting opinions in chat. It keeps things interesting.
Yes, we like this. I like the banter, the witty banter, if you will.
Because usually Brian and I are just like, this is a good game. I agree.
And then
next.
Next one on my honorable mentions list, which was super close to being on my list. Super close. Portal 2. Absolutely loved Portal 2.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Portal 2 more so than Portal 1, even though Portal 1 was definitely the unique one. Portal 2 to me was just overall a better game.
Sure. Yeah.
And once again, a game that I played over and over and over again. It was just, I still love Portal 2, even to this day.
Portal 2 was just an iteration on 1, so it makes sense to
still
say
constantly ask for Portal 3, but no one listens. It's terrible. The Halo series. The Halo series was real close to me too, because for me, the original Halo Combat Evolved was. I still remember to this day. It was like literally one of the first launch titles ever for the Xbox. I can't say the Xbox One because we have one. So the Xbox original, the Xbox period, if you will. I remember like I had a bunch of games for launch titles. I didn't actually choose Halo as part of my launch titles because I just didn't know about it. It didn't look all that great, and then. Like, literally, my stepdad at the time had a buddy at work who's like, he bought the game, he didn't really like it, but your boy liked it. I'm like, well, it's free, whatever. I popped it in, and I was like, oh my god, how did I not know about this?
I'm going to respond out loud to Pretty Ideal. She says, do you know how long the Portal games took me to play? Too long, I'm not a sharp cookie. I played the first Portal with my mom. We took probably 6 hours. I played Portal 2 alone. Probably took me 6 months. Like, I didn't want to consult walkthroughs. I ended up having to for a couple of them.
It didn't take me
some of those I was just like...
I know, it didn't take me that long. But,
no, truthfully, it probably took me 2 weeks, I'd say.
I know, I love the Portal games. They didn't take me that long, and plus, but I just loved them. I love the brain teaser of them. I like the physics puzzles. I think
it was mostly the underground. Well, not it's all underground.
They're all kind of within something.
Like Cave Johnson, like kind of outside the facility stuff.
Yeah,
that was what was like.
They were interesting, but yeah, no, I like I said, I definitely love those games. Going back to Halo, like I said, the Halo Involved, Combat Evolved, the very first one. You know what? I didn't say that exactly. Yes,
Pretty Ideal is great at quotable quotes.
Yes.
For example, it hurts to be your friend sometimes.
Which I still use all the time.
Thank you, Twitter header.
Thank you, Pretty Ideal, for that. But anyway, so going back to Halo Combat Evolved, this is another game that, to me, it was kind of like a turning point in gaming just because of what it meant to gaming. It was like one of the very first like epic adventure FPSs. But for me, I didn't put it on here because... overall, arguably, it wasn't the greatest of games. The storyline wasn't all that great. There were some levels that didn't make sense. But this was a game that I almost put on here just purely because of what it meant. Like, for me and my brother, like, we co-op this game for hours upon hours. And we just, we would redo it. And, like, there was even a time when we spent an entire day trying to get a Warthog through a door that you shouldn't be able to get it through to drive it down to the basement of one of the bases and just prove that we could do it.
That reminds me of Mercenaries.
We actually did do it. Oh, Mercenaries made... the list, but not
almost.
They actually didn't even make my honorable mentions. Actually, it was just, I just highlighted it as a great game.
Yep.
And my final one on my honorable mentions list is Deus Ex: Human Revolution.
Yeah.
Not Mankind Divided because that's bullshit. But Human Revolution was.
I was just looking at chat.
You're waiting for it. Human Revolution was oh my god, this game just overall, and like I could easily put this one in place of Underground 2, but Human Revolution was, I don't know, I just can't say enough about this game. It was just, the storyline was really very interesting, very engrossing. There's a lot of turns. I love the fact that the game evolved as you evolved. The fact that you didn't like always feel like a superhuman, even when you got to the end when you were a superhuman. It still felt hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it evolved with your character. The fact that you could evolve your character to your play style, it was amazing. Even the final decisions at the end of the game. Like, I still remember the final decision, which is like basically right before you, right as you end the game. I still remember pausing the game and just sitting there going, I think I need to sleep on this one. I don't think I can actually make this right now. Like, I actually said, like, I need to think about this for a long time. So, but like I said, and I'll leave it at that, but I have so many games that went through. And also, 1990, was it 3? No, hold on. 1997 was one hell of a year, too, because 1997 was when Final Fantasy VII came out, Turok came out, Star Fox 64, GoldenEye 007, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, the original Grand Theft Auto, all in the same year. I'm sorry, guys, but, like, the best years of gaming were, like, the late 90s to, like, 2007, 2008. I mean, but then after that, they just kind of start dropping off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to leave it at that because I actually took an hour for my top 5 games. So I'll leave it at that. But, oh my god, it was...
Mine are probably not going to come as much as of a surprise to regular listeners, but I might as well say them anyway. So...
Is Windwalker one of them?
So, my top 5 favorite games at this moment. Because I always have a hard time picking, like, favorites. When someone's like, what's your favorite band? What's your favorite song? It's like, well, I mean, I owe a lot to this one, but, So, this is an approximation. Number 1, you picked Mass Effect. I picked Dragon Age Origins.
I knew it. I almost did that, but I don't know. Mass Effect was more of a journey for me, which is why I picked Mass Effect over Dragon Age. And plus, I only liked the first one.
Dragon Age Origins specifically. Yeah, I like the Dragon Age franchise. Yeah. I like Inquisition. But Origins is a fantastic, well-written, customizable fantasy tale with exactly my kind of fantasy aesthetic. Like, it's actually really generic, the thing about Dragon Age, Origins specifically. It's like Lord of the Rings medieval fantasy-ish. And because of that, it's sort of like, it's not trying to be anything in particular. So I like that. But I like the fact that this was one of the first games that I played where I really felt like I brought a character to it that I already had from other fantasy things, games and role plays and whatever. But I felt like I could actually embody him. I felt like I could be him. I could present him. The dialogue options that it gives you are incredible. Like, they're really well flavored. The writing's a blast. The companions are an absolute delight. The story is not like anything super spectacular, but and you're going to see this as a common theme, it's the world. I like being in Thedas. I like the way that they present, they present a sort of a different take on elves than Tolkien. Elves are these, they're in the slums or they're in the woods. They're these outsiders, they're almost subhuman, where like Tolkien is like, oh, we're elves. So I prefer, it's a little bit... It's like a slightly, I don't even want to use this word, but a slightly grungier Tolkien. It's not grungy at all. But where Tolkien is like, hobbits are going to save the day, we're little Englishmen. It's like, this is just a little bit more focused on generic medieval fantasy, And it's like, impress your own desires onto this. Do you want to be a mage? Do you want to be a mage? I love what Dragon Age does with mages. The Mage Templar thing, fantastic. Even the way they treat dwarves is a little bit unique.
Very different, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, and if I had to pick a favorite game, it would probably be that.
Really? All time?
Yeah.
Like, really?
Because I have
warm
memories associated with it, the time I played it, but it also is, I've played it since, it's not like, oh, it was really good because that was a good period of time. I've gone back to it multiple times.
See, that's how my list had to change and update, was because I'm like,
yeah,
would a game I honestly only ever thought and played once really make, like, would that really mean that much to me? It's like, come on.
Right. Exactly. Hang on, I'm just doing a little bit of adjusting here. But he introduced me to BioWare isms, because I didn't actually play KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, stuff like that. So, invested interest in doors and outs. Humans are boring! I know what it's like to be a human. I've been there. Yeah, so this was my first introduction into this kind of game. I played Mass Effect 2 shortly after and was like, oh, yes, this is like Dragon Age, but in space. Good, so it was cool for that regard. But Origins is where I owe my loyalties. So absolutely that as number one for me.
Not surprised. Not really surprised.
I have two options. I have two where I picked actually franchises. So second, I'm going to say The Sims.
I knew it.
As a thing. The Sims as a concept. I'm having a blast with The Sims 4. I had a blast with The Sims 3. We played The Sims 2 on PS2. Like console device box, little box.
The
what
PS2
are you doing with the
version of The Sims?
Yep.
Oh my god.
Which is very different from The Sims 2 on PC.
Yeah.
And just I love it. I love it as a game and I love it as a tool. The Sims is just really great for today. I want to just make cool looking characters. That's all I want to do. I don't even want to do anything else. Or hey, maybe I'm just in the mood. Maybe I'm feeling interior decorating today. Or if you actually play it and the little story, yes, testing cheats enabled, true. And oftentimes cast full edit mode on. Sims is the best thing ever. And it's hard because it's like, I guess if I had to pick a game, I'd say The Sims 4 because that's the one I'm playing right now. Heck, it's our promo image for this
cool.
for this stream right now. It's really fun. Mods make it even more fun, but as a base game, it's just I like sim games. I like life simulation concepts. It allows me to do the most mundane things. Like, Brian, I have created you, me, all of us. I've created our childhood houses,
You made a webcomic using The Sims?
Yeah, I've made webcomics using it. I've used it as a platform for so much stuff. So absolutely. Anyone who's played The Sims knows.
We marathoned The Sims. I died in The Sims. I got hit on by our old creepy landlord in The Sims.
Yeah.
Because he's the only person that would like me in the stupid Sims.
We've had some great times. Yeah, I'm still waiting for a Killer Sims MMO, but maybe someday.
Isn't that just Second Life?
I actually haven't played Sims 2 Medieval. But
yeah, wouldn't that just be Second Life? I mean, wouldn't that just basically be
well, yeah, but I mean, The Sims... Why I like The Sims 4 is because with The Sims 3, they were starting to err towards realism, and The Sims 4, they dialed it back and went towards... Because there's this thing now, right? Like Overwatch and whatever, where it's like a cartoony but cool aesthetic, or Pixar aesthetic. And Sims 4... Yeah, Sims Online was a thing, but... yeah. It was like...
I love the fact that it was... Within seconds, it was a hotbed for creepers. It was a really good game.
Sims Online was okay. It reminded me of stuff like Habbo Hotel, where it was just kind of like, okay, I have to really invest in this. But oh my god,
play nicely, kids.
But yes, play nicely, chat. Again, Sims 4, I like the fact that they've gone back towards a cartoony, kind of over-expressive look. I prefer that. Also, it runs better, so, on machines. So The Sims, that's number 2. Number 3. Okay, so this was hard. There were a lot of games that I played when I was like 6, 7, 8 that were really formative games. So it's like, do I owe them because they got me into video games and they got me into a lot of stuff, even if they weren't necessarily a great game? So I went through this list of these kind of like childhood games, all these like PC games that I played. And there was one in particular that always stood out, and that's a game called Starship Titanic.
Yep.
This was a Douglas Adams game, of all things. It was very much like Myst, but with a killer sense of humor. It was the concept of the Titanic, but a spaceship. And I had never played anything like this before, and I don't know if I've played anything like it since. So it was a puzzle game at its core. Not like the Hitchhiker's Game, if anyone's played that, because that's a text game. But it's
not a text game. It was a
but it is,
click.
yes, that Douglas Adams.
Point and click.
And it requires non-logic. Like, if you know Douglas Adams works, you know that, like one of my favorite things was always that you needed a hammer. And the hammer was behind breakable glass that you needed a hammer to break. Like, that was the kind of, like, puzzle that you were faced with. It's like, there's only one hammer on this ship, and it's behind a glass that I can only break with a hammer. It's like, this glass can only be broken by a hammer. Like, the hammer's behind that glass.
How did you solve it?
You know, I'm not going to give it away. Oh. But it was, you know, it was absolutely a game that required a walkthrough. You weren't ever going to beat it unless you did something by mistake. There was a bomb on the ship. This always cracked me up. The bomb was voiced by John Cleese, and the bomb had a personality. So the first thing you do is you see this thing, and it's a big red button. It says press button to disarm bomb. And you're like, okay, and you press it. It's like, arming bomb. It's like, oh no, counting down now until your imminent doom, 1,999, 998. And if you wait, he starts to talk to you. And he's like, you know, this is really quite boring. You know, we're having a terrible time here. I'm going to blow up, and my guts will be spewed all over the insides of the ship. You think that I want that? No. Oh, blast, I've lost count. 1,900. And that's how you keep the bomb from going off, is just by keeping it distracted. And so it's just like, it's a game with a sense of humor. The puzzles are hard as nails. But what this game also had, two other things. What this game also had, robots that you could kind of talk with. So you had these AI robots that had limited, but really great for the time, text-to-speech or text parsing. I don't know what the real term is for it, but where you could say, like, hello, and it'd say, hi, how are you? You know, I'm great, how are you? I'm not doing very well. This ship is stranded in space. You know, you actually typed it. It wasn't like you were choosing from a list. So it picked up, I guess it probably picked up keywords, and you needed it to solve problems like, okay, I need this TV, but this TV is too heavy to lift. Can you get the TV for me? Yeah, no problem. He gets the TV. So you had to actually say that. And so you could have some dialogue with them, and sure that there were tons of Easter eggs and little conversation things. Robots had these really quirky personalities. But the other thing that this game did was introduce me, of all things, to Photoshop. I have a folder where I used to take screenshots of this game and pictures of, like, me and family members and classmates back in 5th grade, 4th grade, and Photoshop them onto the ship. I also started writing fan fiction because of this game. I've never, like, I haven't gotten into writing fan fiction, but I wrote realistic fiction using this game's premise as the plot. And it was the same thing. It was us in school. This was just before you got there, Brian. Yeah. And it was us, like, solving the problems, but it was our personalities. You know, it was all of us on the ship, and, like, dialoguing with each other and stuff. And so I still have those. But this game got me into doing design because it got me, first time I was using Photoshop, which now I use every day for work, and writing, like writing fiction. Like, it honed those two things. So I owe that game specifically. I owe that game specifically a lot. So that's why I picked Starship Titanic. It's also just a good game. All right, I keep losing my list here. Okay, 4th on my list. Also picking a franchise, but a specific one stands out. 2 specific ones stand out. Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto is a franchise. Specifically, I love Vice City.
Of course, that was on my list. Yeah.
The music, the culture, the look, the vibe, the aesthetic. But I love 5 more. Nothing to do with the story. Has nothing to do with, like, the single player of the game. I have spent the most video game time, according to Steam, that I've spent is Skyrim, followed very closely second by Grand Theft Auto 5. And the bulk of the time in that is going into the, like, director mode, where you can make your custom online character or whatever. Going into first person and just being in there, being in Los Santos, being in going for a hike. The game got me back into mountain biking, because I would go up to Mount Chiliad with the mountain bike, spawn the mountain bike up there, and ride it down. I was like, I want to do this again in real life. So I went out and bought an actual bike. So it's like, so, the games that like stem out of the game, I feel like I owe a lot to. But just like, the game does a lot. You can have that vibe of, oh, I'm on the beach. Oh, I'm, driving fast cars through the inner city. But I'm the person, just like Ambling Panda said, who stops at the stoplights.
Oh, God.
If you could use a turn signal in a game, I do. Love it. Absolutely love Grand Theft Auto 5 for everything that has nothing to do with the game itself.
Yeah,
I have the mods that like you have to get gas in your car, so you have to go to a gas station. You have to eat, things like that.
Ugh.
I absolutely love it. It's such a joy. I've never played GTA Online. Like I played it like once, and it was like 20 minutes to load a mission. So I was like, heck with that.
Yeah, I have to agree. Vice City was one of my top picks as well. I loved Vice City. It was just
if GTA 5 didn't exist, it would be Vice City.
I just loved Vice City and the fact that just the sheer amount of like self entertainment you could make in Vice City. There's just so much you could do, just random little things like I'll just walk into this police station as long as I don't pull out a weapon, they don't care, and then just like pull out a Molotov cocktail and drop it real quick and just.
See, I wasn't the chaotic one like that. I remember the first time.
How many pedestrians can I hit with a boat before they start arresting me?
I always like sharing this story, and I've probably shared it here 100 times. But the first time I ever saw a Grand Theft Auto game was in our English class. It was in Mr. Belay's class. It was near the end of the school year, and it was just a tradition. Like especially in his class, we could bring in a console and play a game. Like I remember playing Assassin's Creed. I remember playing Guitar Hero in there. People doing Halo competitions in there.
Remember playing Champions of Norath?
Yeah, Joshua. My multi-tap. Oh, that's its own thing. Anyway, and I remember they were playing Vice City, and we were just passing the controller around when people died. So it was like, oh, I'm gonna play, and I'm gonna get up to 5 stars and get chased by a tank. Oh, I'm gonna play and get the chainsaw and mow down every pedestrian. I was like, I'm gonna walk to that store. Do they sell snacks? Oh, hello, ding ding. Please get out of my store. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Bye. And I'm going to buy a suit. That was me. That was me playing Grand Theft Auto.
No, I like playing GTA Vice City because I could get on... you could do the flying cars cheat so that if you get to a certain point, cars fly.
Okay, but that's fun,
And then you would get on a crotch rocket because crotch rockets wouldn't fly. Motorcycles, for some reason, didn't work in the cheat. So you'd just be speeding down the road with a 5-star... wanted level, and you just whoa. Like, occasionally a tank would actually hit you.
Was it you and me when we played Midnight Club and we would do the thing where you tilt the cars up on the side?
We have played Saints Row.
Saints Row is great.
When we tried to do the high five.
Okay, so a Midnight Club,
oh my God,
which is a racing game, street racing game, you could turn your car onto two. Yes, you could turn your car onto 2 wheels. Like this is the front of your car, those 2 wheels, not like a wheelie, but a sidey. And we would get onto opposite ends of like the longest straightaway we could find and try and like high five our tires.
Yeah, we call it high five.
Sparks go up.
We spent like hours at your house actually trying to do that. I think we did it like once. Every time
that was
either we collided or we just completely missed.
Yeah, that's the thing. You had to see the sparks.
That was also the game, I don't even remember this, when we just started out, it was the very first time I ever played it, your car had like all the hydraulics and everything else. And
I do remember this.
And you're just sitting there going, and basically the car that I had was just painted green and like gold, called Green Envy, and I'm just like...
Green Envy, it was like a PT Cruiser.
Yeah, it wasn't a PT Cruiser, it was an old muscle car.
It looked like one.
It was an old muscle car, but spreading that crap out on the interwebs... How dare you? It was not a PT Cruiser. It was an old classic muscle car, you bastard.
A classic PT Cruiser.
Shut up. But I still remember, like, you're sitting there like, look at all the things my car can do. I'm like, hey, you think of these things? I'm just like randomly smashing buttons because I don't have hydraulics. All of a sudden, my car just takes off out of nowhere.
The game properly started, like a timer was going like 3, 2, 1, start. He just goes. It's like all I could see was his car going...
I went on 2 wheels, then another 2 wheels, and then I somehow made like a 90-degree turn perfectly, and and it's just...
That reminds me of, I was playing GTA San Andreas co-op with
I
friend,
hated that game.
Alec.
I hated San Andreas.
And Co-op on that was same screen, so it was like he's here, and I was this guy who could only like hobble. It was like an old like redneck looking guy. I could only hobble forward, and I'm hobbling towards an intersection. The camera's panning out to show both of us on the screen. Could not have planned this. An RV comes in at full speed and just decks me, just completely off screen through this intersection. I'm like, let's go this way. But I love that kind of stuff. Absolute delight. So yeah, Grand Theft Auto.
We also played baseball.
Vice City.
Yeah. We also played baseball in Midnight Club. In the city, yeah.
When you burn out and you'd have to like spin the back. Oh
Someone
my
would
God.
have to, like,
No,
go-
I love games where you make your own fun.
Pitchers
And Grand
mound
Theft Auto.
to the outfield, back to home plate before the other guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's an actual baseball diamond in the
Yeah,
game.
it's great.
But again, I love games where you make your own fun, and Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best iteration
Roland,
of that.
would you like to go bowling?
I didn't like 4.
Interesting.
It was all right. So that's that. That's GTA.
The big number 5.
This is my 5th game now. My top 5 games
Top
of all time. I had a different game here, and I switched it out when you said Need for Speed Underground 2. Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
I knew you had to put that in there. I almost put the original Tony Hawk 2 in there, but I knew you'd bring up American Wasteland.
Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, because of the exact same reasons. Like, if we could clip that part of you talking about Need for Speed Underground 2, the exact same reasons. I would come home from school and just play it, whether alone or with you guys, you, Alec, any combination of us playing it, anyone's house. This was just a ubiquitous game for us. Like, we all just chilled. I remember like having, God, it might have even been with you, like heartfelt conversations about like
that was with me.
Yeah,
the
about like relationships and things like that, and like
the cheat for you never fell off the grind. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, and more. I remember even with other people just having like, you know, oh, I'm thinking about breaking up with my girlfriend. Oh no, really? And here we are doing these like stunts and like it's like mega combo, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, dude.
I remember those. Yeah. Oh my God. That
American Wasteland was like Vice City, where it was like, I love that game because actually it was like GTA 5 too, because it was LA.
That's true.
And it's funny how many games where it's like, I remember going to places in GTA 5 and being like, oh yeah, I remember this from American Wasteland. But just, there were a lot of cool things, you know. The single player was fun. I fun enough, you know. It was a little self-aware, and I like games that are self-aware, games that have a sense of humor about what they're doing. Like, hey, cool skate guy, come over here and do an awesome nollie, you know, and they know they're doing that.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, you're extreme, and you're like X.
Getting off your skateboard and walking around, throwing your skateboard.
Yeah. You could ride BMX bikes in that game. I know you could in other Tony Hawk games, but I liked American Wasteland. The culture was like 70s punk in the modern day. So it was like a lot of the music was covers of classic punk songs by modern bands. So that was always fun. They were like, you know, it was a fun game to play, and fun is important.
Yeah, very.
Like, I just enjoyed.
You can even make your own custom tricks.
Yep, you can make tricks, because Alec and I had a trick called Double Back Foo.
What was the Superman one you guys made? Where you
you just hold the skateboard out. Yeah. You just go off and jump and you hold your skateboard out like, and spin around. Okay. We have a question from the audience. What is fun? Things I like.
F is for friends who do stuff together. U is for
you and me. U is for uranium bombs.
And is for no survivors.
But it's a game that you can be doing something else with your mind while you're playing it. Yeah. You could be having conversations. I played it a lot while I was on the phone with people, having phone conversations with someone and playing American Wasteland. So, welcome to Addicted to Lou.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
For audio listeners, Ambling Panda says, well, that's not how I saw that going.
You mean a random SpongeBob reference? Because that's how we roll. But yeah, I remember playing American Wasteland over the phone going, wait, where is it? Make a left.
Yeah.
Where?
Because it wasn't like we were playing co-op, but we were playing the game. Yeah.
The one with the broken light. This one? Yeah, that one. Okay, now make a left. Now what? Oh my God! Told you!
Yeah. And it was a fun had some classic levels from other Tony Hawk games, so that was cool too.
Oh, yeah.
Billy Joe Armstrong was a playable character, so that season,
that game was like most heartfelt conversations of high school. I mean, it was
yeah,
interesting.
and it's a really weird association.
Yeah,
but like I associate Tony Hawk's American Wasteland with high school drama.
Yeah,
like oh my god,
man. Yeah. Awesome Nolly. It just this just sucks, man.
It's not working out between me and her. That was so cool. So yeah, no, good stuff.
Yep.
So my honorable mentions, just to whip through them.
Mm-hmm.
First game I ever played was a game called Castle Adventure. This was on a Tandy 1000, monochrome green. Castle Adventure. You needed both the floppy to start up the machine and the floppy for the game. It was actually kind of a rogue-like, not in the sense that the game changed when you played it, but you just basically played as far as you could.
Yeah.
Like the original, but you were retrieving
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you were retrieving treasures from this castle. There was an ultimate, like I think you had to get a key for the front gate was your ultimate goal. But along the way, it's like you're solving little mini problems and stuff. All the visuals, it looks like Rogue and Dwarf Fortress. It's like the ASCII art.
Yeah.
Like I think your character was an @ sign was actually your character, and like a sword was a T, like a literal letter T. So that was back when that wasn't for style. That was the actual
This
style.
is the graphics we have.
It's like that's all we could do to make this game. But that's called Castle Adventure. You can find that online actually, and like abandonware sites. This is the one I bumped off in favor of Tony Hawk, but the Samarost series.
Really?
Because they're more recent, but the first one was a Flash game. The second one might have been a Flash game, and the third one recently came out and is, you can get it on Steam or itch or whatever. Samarost is a point-and-click kind of puzzler, but has an amazing style to it. It's very much it's what I describe as like dreamlike. As for my particular feel of dreams, like you're this little. It's very I don't want to get it wrong. It's I want to say Eastern European a little bit. Maybe not Eastern European. I apologize if I'm getting that incorrect. You're a little gnome, and you're on this giant floating piece of driftwood in space, and it's just like the textures of the driftwood are so cool. The music of this game is done by this guy. He goes by Floex, and he's one of my biggest musical inspirations. Like, there's a great video out there of them doing the music for Samaros 3 and the sounds. And it's like stuff like they're little ghost mushrooms in Samaros 3, and they do, when you click on them, they go like, ooh, ooh. And the video is him doing the sound. He has bongo drums and a moistened lollipop, and he's going, ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. So, and just little stuff like there's a scene with little flies buzzing around, and the way they did that is a guy with a cello, and the cello is semi-muted by a paperclip. And so it's this sound. It's really cool. It's an inspirational game creatively, but they're also really fun. Samaros 1 is free. You can go play that online while Flash is still around.
Oh, God, yeah.
Think 2 and 3 both cost money, but they are worth every cent. Absolutely, almost among my favorite games of all time. If not for American Wasteland.
No Kentucky Route Zero?
No, because Kentucky Route Zero is a little impenetrable. Samaros fills that role. Kentucky Route Zero is astounding and on a plane of its own, but it doesn't, like, the influences don't stem from like the bloom. There's no blossoming of other stuff from it, like something like American Wasteland is like, yeah, that reminds me of high school. GTA, that reminds me, but Kentucky Route Zero is just, it's great, absolutely, and very singular, but it's only it,
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't done anything yet to really make me say that's legendary. Wow. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, best MMO, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to go on there. Sleeping Dogs.
I had that. Yeah, that was. Oh.
I just want more people to play Sleeping Dogs. It's
such
a
an
great
amazing game. Yeah, Sleeping Dogs was incredible.
As far as just like good narrative, good world, good place to be, really
good
cool,
everything.
Really sells Hong Kong. Good stuff. Sleeping Dogs is so good. Like, that's like a 10 out of 10 for me.
I love Sleeping Dogs. Yeah, it's a great game.
And the last one, ask me again of my top 5 games in like 5 years, because Breath of the Wild will probably be on there.
Knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Knew it was coming.
Breath of the Wild is a perfect video game. It's just, it does everything that it wants to do. It does it right.
Time to Breath of the Wild was an hour and a half for all those.
Hour and 32. Yeah.
Also,
no, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is exceptional.
Also, the answer to whether or not we were going to have same games was 0. I actually thought we were going to have 1. Wow, you got me.
I predicted 0.
I actually thought we were going to get 1. I thought we were going to get 1.
We could almost say with Mass Effect and Dragon Age that we were both saying BioWare.
Yeah, I mean, we had a BioWare-isms in there, but I'm surprised. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so...
But that's the thing, like, I think both of our lists for one another, knowing each other for as long as we do, there were some surprises, but when
I was surprised to hear like Need for Speed Underground too.
Yeah, but it's like, but at the same time, you're like, it's a surprise, but is it really a surprise? Because it's like, oh, I can, you know, that's the thing. It's kind of like, oh, I know those games because I remember like even the Titanic one. I remember you telling me about that like in 9th grade. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you telling me like, man, this game was amazing. You should, if you ever have a chance to play it. Like I still remember that. Like that's great. Yeah. That is awesome.
And I do think that there are games that are better than any of these games that I've mentioned, like that are just that are better games, you know, objectively. Like, but I wouldn't put Skyrim on this list. I wouldn't put, you know.
That's the thing. That's the same thing with mine. Like, there's arguably far better games than the ones I picked, but to me personally, these are my personal history of top 5.
Yeah, these are the ones that mean the most.
Exactly. That's kind of like what we did last year with our Game of the Year. It wasn't. We each picked a true Game of the Year, and then we picked our actual Game of the Year, which was like what meant the most.
Like it was hard to not put Night in the Woods on this list, but I'm thinking, okay, give it time. Let's sit on Night in the Woods. It's
it's too fresh.
Friggin' stellar game, but it's fresh.
It's kind of the reason why like I stopped after 2008 when I started to do my review, because it's like I just don't associate anything like the past couple years, because it's kind of like
it's tough.
Yeah, it's just like there wasn't.
That's growing up, Brian.
I don't know. It's just interesting. Wow, our top 5 games. That's 10 games, all of which neither of us repeated, which is interesting. So you got whole 10 games there with honorable mentions that were completely different too, which is very interesting.
Yeah.
So, wow, this has been one amazing special so far. I don't know about you guys, but this was so much fun to do. We actually thought about this. Well, Tom thought about this, and then like the next game is like, oh my god, this is so huge.
But, yeah, I was like, hey, let's do like our top 5 games. The next day we're both in chat like, this is so hard.
Yeah, like I'm actually scared for this. This is so rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is definitely like our personal top 5 games that we personally picked for ourselves.
So far?
Yeah,
to date.
So far. I mean, it's
to date.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the world is young. The universe is young.
The world
is
ripe
young. For the picking with all sorts of games coming out.
Absolutely.
So with that, we're going to be moving into our standard playlist that we usually do. But first, as part of this, kind of like an interesting announcement for myself specifically, and just for Addicted to Loot in general, last Sunday was the first ever episode of our actual RPG section of Addicted to Loot streaming.
We're
me
branching
and
out.
Marsh and a few other players actually did the very first episode for Dark Heresy First Edition. The Blind Abyss is the name of our campaign. So it's actually the very first episode. You can watch it on our Twitch videos as well as on YouTube. There will be eventually an audio-only version of it as well.
Oh, cool.
I'm still working on that one. I want to do it, but literally this top 5 game special took up all of my free time. So that's the funny part. But yeah, no, there definitely will also be that. So tune in on Sundays. That is 12 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. UK time, or 1700 hours, 10 Central Time, and like 8 or 9 o'clock Arizona time, because that's exactly all of the players in our...
Hello, I live in the Pacific Islands.
That's exact. So, 12, just to say, 12 p.m. EST is definitely the best way of saying it. But right here on Twitch at Addicted to Loot, twitch.tv/Addicted to Loot. Come join us.
I always feel bad for promoting stuff, because I'll like put something up like yesterday. I put it on Twitter. Oh, you know, we're doing this tomorrow, and then today so many people retweeted that, and I'm like, no, it's not tomorrow. Now it's today.
Yeah. So come on. But anyway,
just
so quick little shout out. So definitely come join our ragtag group of acolytes as we journey into the universe of 40K. So please tune in this Sunday for that. Whew. Okay, so I talked about it before. Talked about it still. It is finally here.
I'm so jazzed for
what
this.
I'm talking about.
Holy shit, that's an
Oh my
Oculus
God.
Rift right there,
Oh my
baby!
But, so I talked about the fact that I purchased it. We had a whole big VR little segment on Addicted to Loot, and I've been playing it quite a bit, actually, in between trying to figure out my top 5 favorite games.
I haven't heard a lick of
I
information
know,
from
this
you
is the
about
interesting part. Okay, so I'm going to start, from the very beginning. So, basically it came in, but I got the Oculus
Are we gonna do an
Rift.
unboxing video?
No, well, it's already unboxed. But so there's Oculus Rifts, and then there's the Touch. So the Touch is what physically gives you 3D space. The Rift just gives you a 3D periphery, like kind of a 3D vision.
Does it have headphones? The Rift?
Yes, it does. So as you can see,
Oh,
they're
okay.
built into the earpiece there. So it comes in a super fancy box, really incredible packaging. This literally is when they advertise it as like the luxury brand of VR, because there's this one in the Vive. Like, this one is definitely the luxury plan, because, like, even
Really?
oh yeah, I mean, the box itself is like pristine and white, and like everything.
There's a
like,
little chocolate
polished.
in there.
Like, it was like perfectly form molded to everything. the
The
compartments.
styrofoam was black.
Well, literally, it was all black and like polished out, and like
God.
even like all the compartments were hidden and stuff like that. I mean, it was incredible. So, actually, setting it up was super easy. Just for anyone that's wondering, setup was super easy. I plugged this into my USB port, and that was it. Like, I plugged this into my USB port. I plugged in my sensor to the USB port. I plugged this into my video card, which is annoying because my video card has enough connectors, but I had I had an HDMI connector and a DVI connector. This also requires an HDMI connector, so I had to go out and buy an adapter for that, so I could do 2 monitors and this, just FYI. But
I mean, that makes sense, but
it does.
still.
But setup is you download the Oculus Rift, literally set up installer. You run it once, and it just walks you through everything. It tells you how to calibrate everything, tells you how to put everything on, tells you how to position everything, tells you how to set it up, and that was incredible. I mean, it was surprisingly incredibly easy to set this thing up. Completely and utterly honest. You set this entire thing up with the little like Oculus remote, which is your very first touch. If you don't have the touch controllers, this is what you get. You get this and a 360 controller, basically. So,
Hi, Ambling Panda. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. So, with that, excuse me. So you install this, then you plug the touch in, and then it just automatically acknowledges it, and then it goes, let's set up your touch. And then it walks you through the same thing, setting up the second sensor over here, calibrating it, how to work it, and everything else. So, setup, I would say A+, super easy if you want to get one of these. Really incredibly easy. One thing I did not think about, which I should have, is that I have glasses on. I always wear glasses.
This is something I've wondered about.
This is an
all
over-
VR.
Interesting thing about this is purely designed to go over glasses. It is designed to go over the vast majority of glasses out there. That being said, it still takes me a while to get this damn thing on. Like, usually what I have to do, I have to take my glasses off, I gotta put it inside here, and then, like, roll it onto my face with both of them on.
Really? That's interesting.
And, well, I also have very wide glasses. I don't know if people can see, but my glasses are definitely rectangle and wide. Something
So
like
mine.
someone with more rounder glasses probably would have a far easier time. But that's what I have to do. Basically, I finally get it on. I then have to like push my fingers inside, push my glasses to a certain position, lock everything in, and then it's
Initiate the rift.
fine. Which isn't bad. They have multiple various adjuster straps. There's 2 on the side. There's 1 in the back. The earpieces have mobility to them. Even the distance apart of the lenses, kind of like binocular, have a little slider to them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so with that, so you get it on, the game starts up, and oh my god, am I impressed.
Okay, good.
It is insane how good VR is at this moment.
So it's a 1-1 ratio. You look and you're there.
Like,
There's
literally,
no like
I stood
lag
up.
of.
There's been multiple times where I've lost my position in my universe, like in my real world, like walls here, not here, because of the fact that I can hear something coming behind me. I gotta twist and react to it, and then forget where I'm at because I'm just so
Sure.
involved in it.
Yeah.
And it's incredible how
Like you don't realize that for 20 minutes you've been actually facing this way.
it has a nice little thing that if you look down, it shows you you have to draw out your playing area
Yeah.
in the system, and if you look down, it shows you the outline of it, so you can position yourself that way.
I've seen that with some of the videos of like the Vive stuff because you know that's in a room, so it's like.
And also, like if you turn completely around, it tells you, by the way, you're facing backwards. You may want to spin back around. And it tells you that. But it literally is 1-to-1. Like whenever I look over my shoulder, I look over my shoulder. Like every little spot I turn, every little spot I move, everywhere I point my fingers. How I pick up things, 1,000% 1-to-1. Literally, you lose yourself in the universe because it's like that immersive.
See, that's the question I've always had.
And to prove this, one thing I did was I had there. I'm going to be talking about 2 games, but for now, just forget that. So there, both of these games require basically shooting. So I have a gun in one hand. I'm over here. I'm shooting. Only this earpiece can hear it because it's on this side of my head. I move it over my head into the behind me. I start shooting it. I can hear it behind me only on this side of my head. I rotate it over. It moves completely with it. I move it back around. Still same thing. Like it literally had 1,000% like 1-to-1 even in sound with space.
Nice.
So that was incredible as well. Now, with that being...
So I was going to say, you might, like I prefer these kind of earbuds, and so would you prefer playing with that kind of thing? But maybe the Oculus...
These are 100%, they just cover your ears.
But maybe they're also designed to be that three-dimensional, where this maybe wouldn't.
But yeah, like it's you completely lose everything because it is like like if there's someone behind you, you could hear them. Like there's indicators, and you're like shit, and you turn around.
Cool.
But like there's been times where like I've grabbed something and thrown it behind me and hit my target because I know it's behind me in space, and it still recognizes that. Like that's the cool thing about it.
Yeah.
This is one of the cool things. One of the little demos when you first get the Move, it's like I think it's Rob, the little like toy robot thing that has the little gray
like
robot with
Nintendo's
black arms.
Rob. Yeah.
He's basically walking you through the demo, and he's giving you cartridges to put into like a 3D printer. And like one of them is like a maraca, and you actually sit there and you start shaking. And then like another one, you actually have like a rocket in this hand, and you gotta take your other hand, grab the string, pull it, and then throw the rocket.
Oh, yeah.
Like, your hands work in tandem. Like, I could pick up a coffee cup, throw it up, catch it, throw it up, catch it, throw it up, catch it.
So there are buttons on the...
Yes, there is. There is actual buttons. There is a, like, analog stick, a back button, a trigger button. A grabbing button, I should say, and a trigger button.
Okay.
So there's buttons. So what you can do is you can close your hand completely, you can have a finger out, or you can open hand. Those are the 3 configurations you can do.
That's what I was wondering.
But yeah, so you can literally pick, like, you have to pick up a gun with, like, the grip controller, then you have to shoot the gun, you point and shoot, and it's 100% 1-to-1 point and shoot. This game gives you a workout. I mean, seriously, like, you're ducking, you're dodging, you're dipping, you're getting out of the way, you're grabbing shit, you're throwing shit, you're grabbing guys, you're ripping guys apart, you're using them as shields. And
you don't feel any kind of, like, because you're sitting down versus standing
You're standing.
up.
You have to stand up.
Oh,
you have to.
So
stand
this
up.
is complete. Oh,
you have to stand up.
You could say it's standatory.
Time to pun. 1 hour 44 minutes. But anyway, but yeah, like you have to stand up for this. You put the headset on and everything else, and you're 100% fully immersed. Like you could literally just look at your hands. Like you pull your hands up, you can see them. You can do a little dance. You can do whatever.
Cool.
There's a game, like one of the games, the first game we'll talk about, I'll just use it as a transition into it, is called Robo Recall. It's one of the more standard VR games that people see. There's robots attacking, you just pull 2 guns out and you start shooting them. Well, this game, it's cool because you have 2 guns on your hips and 2 guns on your back. You also can grab enemies, rip them apart, or throw them, or chuck them, or if like an enemy jumps at you as an attack, you can grab them out of thin air, you can catch bullets and things like that.
Yeah.
So I could literally go... pull my pistols out, bang, bang, waste the clips, drop them, reach back.
Easy there, Reaper.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you literally just keep on pulling them and dropping them. You reach back, grab your shotguns, do the same thing, and then, like, you can actually see your, like, pistols cool down and, like, they refresh, and then you go, like, oh, crap, so then you drop your shotguns, go back, and, like, you can just keep doing that over and over again. But then you have to keep on sitting there going, I'm shooting here. Oh crap, you turn over your shoulder, you start shooting, then you come back over here, there's a guy right next to you, there's a guy over here shooting, and it's like, you literally just get turned around and just like in utter panic because you're like trying to do shit, like you're trying to like not die and like get the high score, and it's like a huge workout, both emotionally, mentally, and just like physically. And same game, this is a funny story, same game, I was midway through, like in the heart of like killing these robots. I'm like, this is a super hard level. I'm super into it. There's tons of them around me. I'm just going to town, doing all sorts of crap. And all of a sudden, my dog licked my ankle, and I freaked shit. Like I almost punted her in the head because I was like, it's getting too real. Oh my god! Like I'm just like it's breaking the fourth wall. But no,
there's I think it's like the most popular video on Twitch right now. It's a guy playing a horror game
with his kid,
and he's like looking around, and then he just goes ah, and it's like his like infant daughter shows up.
Yeah.
No.
And just like literally the very first time I played this game, I punched the wall. So just FYI, it does happen, but that's one of the nice.
Loved.
It's one of the nice things about having the little like loop is that it protects your hand.
Sure.
But so the two games.
That sounds cool though.
Yeah, it's really cool. But in the two games I played, that's the one thing. There's not a ton of variety. Like they're different looking, they're different concepts, but they're both just point and shoot guns. They're basically point and shoot guns. There's definitely other VR games out there. There's a lot of different types of VR games too. I just haven't played them yet. Like I said, I'm only playing two. Robo Recall is a lot of fun. There's gun customization. Like I said, there's tons of different ways to kill things. You can get headshots. You can shoot legs out. You can rip heads off. You can use them as body shields and everything else. There's boss battles and all that other fun stuff. The way you move around using Oculus is you point the thumbstick somewhere, you teleport there, and that's kind of how you move. It's still a fun game. It's an enjoyable game. It's purely just a game of try to collect this many points and get a star. You need so many stars to advance and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
Kind of with a little bit of backstory to it. So it's actually pretty interesting. The other game I played is called Dead and Buried. It is a potentially it's a game where you basically play an undead being, either hunting other undead beings or like real life people to like collect souls and bring them down to the underworld. Basically you're like a guy who died, but now you're coming back as an undead like warrior kind of thing, or like gunslinger, kind of like old westy kind of stuff.
Cool.
And it could be PvP, it could be co-op, it could be like horde mode, it could be quick draw mode. It's just a bunch of different little gun-based games. And in this one, you actually reload this time because you have to flick the guns to the side. The revolver pops open, dumps out. You flick it back
I've seen GIFs of that.
Yeah, you're like, and then you start shooting again.
Yeah.
And it's a cool little enjoyable game because it's actually one game like Robo Recall. The bullets fly somewhat slower, so you kind of like weave around them if you can. This game specifically, you kind of have cover already built in around you, and you can duck, you can like kneel, you can shoot over it, stuff like that. And there's boss battles and things like that. I mean, they're both kind of they're kind of the same but different. They function differently. They have different types of enemies. There's different things to watch out for. Dead and Buried also features a card system. So after each round, depending on your kills and what you do, you get points. You can spend the points on upgrades and like repair your barrier, repair your cover, stuff like that. Oh, you get a shotgun now, kind of stuff. It's not bad. I mean, that one's also, like I said, it's randomly selected co-op, so like that one actually uses the mic and stuff like that. You can look at people, see their name above their head, and be like, how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. How you doing?
Does it render the body too?
Yeah, I mean, well, at least hands and head.
Yeah. So it's just, it like fills in the space with like, okay, the body
there's like a character skin that you pick from, and then it uses that to fill it out. But also, like,
that's cool.
If I kneel down, or like let's just say like the guy next to me kneels down for cover, if I look over, I can see him like on the floor. Like I can see him like he kneeled down.
So it has enough that it's figuring out, okay, he's down.
Yeah.
Do the kneeling look.
So like I can as I'm reloading, I can look over and see like, oh, he's kneeling, so he's taking cover, or oh my god, he's getting over one, so I have to turn over here and shoot him, kind of thing. It's pretty cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, I'm very pleased with the Oculus. It works out super well. It works as good as I could hope it would work. The setup
the sale is still running. Do you recommend people get it? For the current price, which is what, $4.99?
$3.99.
$3.99. Jesus.
I really like it. I have a blast with it. I really do love it. It depends on if you're okay with having not a huge gaming selection. I would wholeheartedly recommend it, but right now it's just hard because there's not a ton of games for it.
So you feel like it's still in early adopter stage?
It's in early stages purely in game selection, not in capability. The game itself,
right? The tech has had a good
the tech is incredible. I mean, you literally, if you bought this purely just for the demos, you would probably be super pleased. But it's just lots of the games are kind of similar. Some are different. I mean, like there's a survival horror game. There's not survival horror, but there's like a psychological like puzzle game now. There's different varieties, but there's not a ton. But this game I do think it's definitely going to be the future of at least a certain facet of games. I'm not sure if they're going to...
Wow.
I mean, they have VR exclusive games right now, but I'm not sure if you're going to have like a triple A VR exclusive, because right now it's all kind of like indie projects or like side developer projects and stuff like that. But because after the sale, it's going to go up to $4.99. It used to be $5.99. This sale is $3.99. After the sale, it's going to be $4.99. I would say if you're really considering it, that would be probably the best time to get it because of the sale. And I would, like I said,
noted.
I'm super impressed with it. I really love it. I don't think it requires that much of capability from your computer. Minus you just need a little bit of space to play in. But
do you feel motion sickness at all?
I didn't know.
Okay, because I know that was a thing. I don't know if it still is, but that was a thing that a lot of people
personally didn't feel it, but I could see, like, if I'm planning on doing videos on it, like, to kind of show people. I have a feeling that potentially someone watching it could get, because it's not just, me with a mouse and WASD, like, kind of smooth motion. It's me going, ha, ha, ha.
Right.
And to me, personally, it's like, oh, that doesn't matter because I'm doing it. But, like...
I know my mom hates watching me play video games because she can't.
You can't follow. I mean, it's the same
thing. When you're watching the camera move around to you, you're like, oh my god, over there. And to someone that's
kind of like you're not planning for it, it's going the wrong way. But it's kind of like
around.
It's kind of like when we played Badlands and I was driving the helicopter and you were sniping. You're looking.
Wildlands.
Whatever. Wildlands.
Are we still on this shit?
Because it's kind of like you're looking down the barrel and I'm turning, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, I had a huge problem, and I never have motion sickness in games, but I had a huge problem in Ghost Recon Wildlands when you were piloting that. Not you specifically, when one pilots a helicopter and moves it while you're trying to snipe. It's like, oh my god. So that's the only point where I got that. But I might get the Rift. It's a good price right now for sure.
Like I said,
it's a justifiable price.
I'm super pleased with it. You get 5 games. You get 5 games free. These two are probably the most big. And
there's a ton of games out there now. But
oh yeah, the library is really big. I mean, the library has a good amount of games, but like I said, there's not like AAA games in VR. But also, you can use.
Actually, it pisses me off because I go onto Steam and there's no way to filter out VR games.
You can go.
So it's like I'll be looking through games.
Yeah, you can do exclusively VR, but you can't do not VR.
Yeah, so it's like I'll be looking through. I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. Oh, it's VR only.
But also, like, I mean, think about games like Elite Dangerous. You can use the Echo. You can use the Rift for. Like, there's games that you can use it for.
Euro Truck Simulator was the one that made me say,
I mean, lots of different things.
I want to play that. Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's a good amount of games on here. Like Super Hot, Lone Echo.
Yeah, Super Hot. I'm sure is really cool.
This one looks really good. Crypt Crawler. It's actually it has pretty shitty ratings. But anyway, but like there's hack and slash games and stuff like that. There's all sorts of like cool little things. I'm like, it's definitely I think very viable. I think it's you can get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and there's definitely it's not going to go away. So it's kind of like Well,
I look forward to future episodes.
I'm definitely going to keep on covering it. And there's actually like some creative stuff on here too. Like there's like a game that's purely just like use a paintbrush kind of thing.
Oh, I know. The Tilt VR or whatever. I want that. That's like the first thing I want. So
yeah, there's
like a 3D paint space.
There's dinosaur games. Oh my god. One of the demos for like the tech demos of just the Oculus itself is just basically you get to move your head around in a VR space. One of them is a T-Rex comes around a corner and oh my god.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there going
I remember. I can't remember who it was. I think it was one of the guys at the Crate and Crowbar podcast was talking about how they have a fear of whales, and there was one that
a whale,
this immense whale, and it just is like this primal, like oh my god, like that's right
thing.
there.
If you don't, I mean, there's times where this game probably could be to that level because of the fact that you're just not expecting it, and you lose yourself in it. It's like it's that real enough where
I can't play a standard horror game, so you'll never see me playing one in VR.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but yeah, there was one, and it looked super like whoa, like it looked like I was watching a Let's Play on it, and it looked like I can't do this.
The one thing that would definitely I see have to change is that games still today, with just standard presentation can take control of the camera. I'm thinking of stuff like Titanfall did this recently, where there are scenes, even though it's a first-person game, you can look around. There are points where there are cut scenes from the first-person perspective. All of a sudden
your camera goes woof.
Yeah, they're forcing you to look a certain way, and with VR, that would be weird. So you probably wouldn't ever see that happen.
Like basically like you either look at the person talking or
Yeah.
you hear them talking, but in the direction you're facing.
Yeah, they have to, because it's great. Typically, because you can say, "Hey, we need the player to look at this character, look at this exploding bridge, whatever." But with VR, you have to be like, over here.
Well, the interesting
Put
thing is,
arrows
like,
up.
I
What's
haven't
that?
played a game that's story-driven yet, so that would be the interesting thing. Is
And maybe
playing
it
a
just won't
plot-driven
exist.
game. Maybe
It'll
not.
change the way games are
I think
created.
it could exist, but it'd purely just be like, "Oh my god, look over there!" And like you would hear the sound, and it would try to pull your head that way. But once again, you wouldn't have to look there. You could just hear like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, there's so much blood."
Yeah,
Where?
you could just choose to ignore it if you want to.
Yeah.
But, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that you're enjoying it.
I'm definitely enjoying it. It's a lot of fun, and like I said, it's just. But if your room's hot, my god, is it? It's comfortable to wear once I figured out how to position my glasses. It's comfortable to wear, but boy, is it hot. So if you have a hot room and you're fighting robots, oh my god, it's a workout.
Robots.
You're fighting robots.
Okay, so I'm actually just going to talk about the first two. I'm going to mention real quick that I've also been playing My Time at Portia. I have not actually played a lot of it, so I only put it on here thinking we might not have enough stuff to talk about, but here we are 2 hours in. So I'm probably going to talk about My Time at Portia later at another podcast, because I don't even have enough really to have an opinion on it yet. It's sort of a Stardew Valley-alike kind of game. But the two I want to talk about, so I played the trial for The Surge, and I've been playing Remember Me. The Surge is billed as a Dark Souls. It is not like, oh, this game is like Dark Souls. It is meant to be, hey, this game is like Dark Souls. Do you like Dark Souls? Play this game. It's not like just a cheap comparison. It's a sci-fi Dark Souls, and I, kind of famously on here, don't really like Dark Souls. I don't like Dark Souls type games. And I thought, okay, The Surge is free. This gives you a lot of stuff for free. I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try it. All it really did, I spent about an hour and a half with it. All it really did was show me why people like Dark Souls games, but did not change my opinion.
Really?
And so it's like the thing I kept thinking about is like, boy, I love roguelikes, but I don't like Dark Souls. Why? Because they're kind of technically they're kind of similar. Where you're basically, you play until you die and you gain something, whether it's knowledge, skill, EXP, whatever, and then you go back the next time with that. Either literal knowledge of, oh, that's how you defeat that enemy, that's how you get to that room, etc., or I've leveled up, I'm a little stronger, I have a better weapon now, things like that. And that's, that's fun. I get that. Like, okay, I'm going to go down this path, and there's a guy here, and I fight him, and oh, here's the optimal way to defeat him. And then here's that guy, and then, oh, I've unlocked a shortcut back to the kind of hub area, like in Dark
Metroid
Souls.
Prime style.
Yeah, Dark Souls, it's campfires. In this, it's these kind of tech rooms that you go back to, and you can, adjust your augments and things like that. And you play until you die, and then you come back in that room. And so maybe you've progressed to the point where you have a shortcut to get a little further along. But it's very Ring-like, You go out, and then you come back. You go out this way, and then you come back. And then maybe you go out, and, oh, I can now go through here and come back. So next time I'll go that way. You're creating shortcuts. But it just feels like you are, I think the metaphor I used on Twitter was like, it feels like you are a little pond trying to wear down a boulder with erosion. You're just going up against it. And it's like, eventually, 3 or 4 million years from now, you might make a little dent in that. So, you're doing something. But it does not, I don't like that. I don't get pleasure from that. It just feels like I'm constantly being thrown against a brick wall. My remains are being peeled off, thrown into the med bay, patched up, and then thrown out against the brick wall again. It's like, yes, ow, I know, there's a wall right there. That's what it feels like. And I get why it's fun. I get where there's a fun challenge to that, where it's enjoyable to say, oh, but if I do the optimal route, and now I know how to take these guys down, or if I keep doing it, I will level up. And okay, yes, but I just can't dig it. The game looks great. Actually, it has a very clever introduction in the opening seconds where it shows the back of you. You're sitting on, like, it shows your neck up, and you're sitting on a train, and it's like, you know, move the analog sticks, move the camera around so you can pan around behind your guy, and it's like, press this button, press that button, and it says, okay, once the game's loaded, use this analog stick to move forward. And you move forward, and you realize you're in a wheelchair. And it just does, it's this really clever kind of bait and switch of like, oh, you only saw from the neck up that he was sitting, you know? And he comes out and gets in a wheelchair, and basically you're being, it's very cyberpunk, you know, you're being put into this mech suit that will allow you to walk.
The exoskeleton, yeah.
Yeah, he has total paralysis from the neck down, or from, I would guess from the waist down, because he can move his arms. And then, of course, something goes wrong immediately. So I do give the game credit. It takes about 8 to 10 seconds to get into the action. Tutorializes really quick, throws a couple of its concepts at you, and then you're in it. you're in it. Okay, here's enemies. Go. If you're into Dark Souls, it's probably pretty good to at least try the demo for it. They say it's hours of content. I certainly only played an hour of content. But it was enough to convince me of what the game is, and that I wouldn't buy it, but that somebody else might.
Would you recommend it for Dark Souls fans?
I don't really know. I think it's good. Reviews are kind of all over the place on it.
Yeah, it's kind of meh.
Yeah. I think that it certainly looks cool, and that does a lot for me. The game is really, it's this interesting style of like junky, but with these splashes of color, kind of like Mirror's Edge. Like if he's got like a blue arm piece, it's really blue, you know, and if he's got like a green chest piece, it's really green, but the background's like drab gray and white. So it's very poppy. So it's visually pleasing. I can't speak to what the story is or anything like that. But, you know, that's The Search. It's a free demo that you can go and download and play right now. Similarly, in the cyberpunk vein, I have finally been playing Remember Me. Now, this was a game that came out in 2013, and I was so hyped for it. I remember it was like that and BioShock Infinite were the games that I was just like, BioShock Infinite, oh, this looks cool. Remember Me, what is this? This looks amazing, you know? Mm-hmm. And the reviews were just, and that's too bad, because this might be a game that could pop up into a future top 5 or honorable mentions. I have never played a game that is more, hey, Tom, you know those things that you're into? All the things that you're into? Why don't we just put them into one game? It's like, this is incredible. I don't even know where to begin. I am so glad that I bought this. Do not listen to the reviews. Put the game on easy, because most of the negativity against it is against the combat, because it's uninteresting. Not that it's hard, but that it's boring. Really? The combat's doing some cool stuff, like with combos. Actually reminds me of the original PS2 Lord of the Rings games in that regard, where you're like memorizing these sort of combos, but it doesn't quite feel as tight as it could be. Yeah, I always feel like I'm slightly missing the beat, slightly missing the rhythm of the combat. But the premise of the game, it's Paris, it's 2084, it's Neo Paris. This game is a mix. I figured it out. It is a mix of Ghost in the Shell and Dishonored if it was directed by the guy who directed The Fifth Element.
That is one hell of a string.
That's what Remember Me is. That is exactly it. It is... There are literal references to Ghost in the Shell. The girl kind of looks like Major. There's a seedy like red light district, and there's signs promoting babes in the skin or something like that. And it's like, you know, Ghost in the Shell. But it's that type of sci-fi where it's like it's got even the same like airships from Ghost. Oh God, I pulled my headphones out. It's got the same airships from Ghost in the Shell. It's very referential to it in a good way, but it's also got Dishonored's like slums versus the upper echelon, I don't know, bourgeois class divide thing going on. You know, the lower end even has these kind of zombie-ish characters that aren't quite zombies, but they're not quite human anymore, sort of stuff. And again, it feels like it's directed by, I don't know the correct way to pronounce his name, Luc Besson, who did The Fifth Element, just recently did Valerian. It's colorful, it's flashy, it's like it's hyper stylized. It feels, weirdly enough, I would describe it as feeling very French. If you know what French games feel like or French design, obviously, yeah, it takes place in Paris, but just certain elements of it feel like French design. That's the only way I can describe it. It's
like a Lumiere type of like dance scene or something like that.
I'm waiting for it. Actually, at one point, this was really random, but I was playing last night and it became a platinum game for a second. Like this giant robot came out and I was in this huge open arena and the robot was so self-aware. Like this is a complete robot. It's not like a mech piloted by a guy, actual robot. And it's like, I will crush you. And it's like at one point you break his arm and he goes, I only need one arm to destroy you. I'm thinking that's hilarious. You know, it should be saying, like, system error. But it's like, you are meat and flesh, huh? So, it's Capcom, so it does feel like those kind of, like, Devil May Cry sort of things at times, but I like it so much better than those games. It's maybe just because it's more my style. Style is the word I'd use for Remember Me. The music is out of this world. I can't stop taking screenshots, which is as usual.
You don't say.
But
if you pay attention to Tom's Twitter feed, you may realize.
Yeah, it's the characters are cool. They're not trying to shoot above their station, I guess. Like the game is not trying to be hyper serious. It's serious enough, but it's got enough lampshading of like, look, we know we're just a video game, just being a video game. So like, there's a lot of self-awareness. I like exploring it. It's it's linear. And that's something that took me a little bit to figure out because there's one point where I entered a level that felt like a hub level. And there's a lot of little hidden things like collectibles that you can get. I say a lot. There's a surprising amount because you don't see that in games very much anymore besides Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft stuff, which are also French games. But I skipped past, like they give you hints where some of the collectibles are, and I skipped past them because I thought, I'll return to this area. But no, it's a linear game that's, putting you down nicely designed, but corridors. I said this on Twitter, I haven't felt this way since BioShock, and probably since Dishonored, about
BioShock
a video
Infinite
game
or BioShock
world.
like BioShock?
BioShock as BioShock, because Infinite does it too. Infinite really sells Columbia.
Yeah.
But especially the first BioShock, when you play that and you're like, look at this. This. This Art Deco underwater city. This is amazing, That's how I feel with this, because it's got old classical architecture and Parisian landmarks, but just like little classical motifs and things with augmented reality screens on it. Like I love how when you walk up to a storefront, it'll be like just a sketchy, like there's a tarp and tin on the roof, and they're selling like what looks like just lunch pails of food, and then this really clean UI comes up that's like closed for business, our operating hours. It just hovers in space in front of you. So it's a really cool blend of classic and future, that brand of sci-fi. I was talking last week how I said I would love to have something that blends like Greek and sci-fi. This is kind of close to that. This classical design with future computers. So Remember Me is really cool, and I recommend every human being on Earth who likes video games go get it. It's probably still ass cheap right now.
It's $30 right now.
If you missed it and you thought you would be interested in it, is what?
It's currently $29.99.
Worth it. It's worth it. This is a game that could be released today.
I put it on my wish list, but yeah, I think it's currently $29.99.
Yeah, it's good.
Yes.
It's a good game. It's made by the same folks who have gone on to do Life is Strange, and so there's some similarities. Yeah, very narrative driven, but this is definitely more video gamey than Life is Strange. And by that I mean it's more what you're used to. It feels like a late 2000s video game. Like you would have played this really early on the PS3 or really late on the PS2.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that's what I've been playing, and that's what I am still playing. I am eager every day to wake up and be like, I'm going to play more of this. I'm going to be so bummed when I'm done with it.
Wow, that's awesome. I kind of had a feeling it was going to go down that route, judging by your Twitter feed, but it's nice to have that confirmation.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is it that time?
It's time.
It is time. The Forgot-Tua, the free game of the week. Our lovely little segment each and every week where we go out, we find a free game that you can play right now at this moment or at the time you listen to this podcast and just go enjoy. However, this is the 1 year special. We can't just simply do that. This week...
Oh, no!
For this week, for our 1 year special, we physically actually have a free game of the week, meaning it's the Addicted to Loot giveaway. Bum, 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 bum. We actually have games. We actually have Steam codes to give out for a game. What is that? Yes, a game. An actual game that costs money. Right now. We have codes. We have Steam codes. It is officially the Addicted to Loot giveaway.
Who'd you kill to get these?
I can't say the statute of limitations. It's not up.
But don't answer.
The game actually itself is a game that I've talked about a lot on this podcast. It's called Solaroids. It is a cool little arcadey space shooter that kind of takes its, a lot from Asteroids, the old arcadey style, asteroid shooter.
It's Asteroids 2.0.
Basically, yeah. But there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in it. There's a lot of updates currently going on. Chad Yates, who was on, or at least in our podcast chat one time when we were talking about this, really great guy, completely and utterly active with his game. But, so how this is going to work? We have 4 codes for Solaroids that we're going to be giving away. How is it going to work as of people right now watching this live, anyone in the future watching this video, or anyone in the future listening to this podcast? What we're going to do up until...
Shout out to audio listeners. I see you guys.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, I guess I hear you guys.
As of the end of July, meaning Monday the 31st, we will have our business email open, which is addictedtoloot@gmail.com. Drop us a line there that basically just says, hey, I want to enter into the giveaway. Give us your email, and that's really it. So just send us an email with a tagline or something like that that says, hey, I want a game, and that's all we really need from you. And with that, we're going to slowly mass up a list. On Tuesday the 1st, what we're going to do, we'll take that list, we'll randomly select 4 people from that list, and we'll email you guys out the code. So that's how we're going to do it. So we have four versions of this game, or 4 codes of this game, to give out for you guys for free.
For you guys, for free.
Bum, 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 bum. So, with that, that is another big bombshell for the 1 year special. So please...
I love free games, so this is cool.
Yeah. So please...
I'm going to enter.
That might be a little cheating. But please drop us a
line.
line.
All 4 winners are Tom.
Please drop a line at addictedtoloot@gmail.com, which can be found at addictedtoloot.com if you'd like to enter. So we know the guys who are the people that usually listen on the podcast that come out on Friday. We're trying to give you guys at least another 3-4 days to enter into this. So that's the reasoning why we're doing it as an extended entry for this. But with that, you can find all this and more, especially our 1 year special at addictedtoloot.com. From there, you can get access to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch channel where you could watch live on this podcast and join us live to actually be a part of it. You can get our group email, which is addictedtoloot@gmail.com. You can find the audio version of this podcast at iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. All listed at addictedtoloot.com. You can find our group Twitter, which is at addictedtoloot. That is the number 2. You can get our personal Twitters, which you can get also right here at our live stream, living right below us at any given time. Mine is at ATL_Atomic0, and Tom's is at TOMALITY. If you ever want to interact with us personally, just talking games, hi, how are you, hate the hair, anything else like that, please let us know. Drop it at Twitter. If you want to drop us a comment, question, game to review, our ideas on a game or anything else like that, please, you can say it at our group Twitter, which is, at addictedtoloot. You can also drop it at an email, which is addictedtoloot@gmail.com. So there's tons of different ways you can do it. You can also drop us a comment and a review or anything else like that at addictedloot.com on specifically our audio version or our links to our different types of episodes. And please, as always, pass it if you really enjoy this stream, if you really enjoy this podcast. Please pass it around to anyone you think might also enjoy.
Thank you to everyone who's written great reviews, and
please definitely,
whether formally or informally, whether on iTunes or just in a nice Twitter comment.
If you want to drop a review, please drop it on whatever host you listen on: iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or SoundCloud.
If you found us on Pirate Bay, I don't know how or why. We're free anyway. Yeah. But hey, you're welcome here too.
But with that, we have been Addicted to Loot, and it has been one hell of a year. Thank you all for joining us for this 1 year and actually giving us the motivation to keep going, because thankfully, without you guys, this would just be two guys screaming at each other. So thank you.
It is, but
yeah, it still is.
It's two guys screaming at each other with a very small but important audience.
We are so incredibly happy with the way this has grown, the way this has been going forward. We're super excited to continue with it, and we really hope that you guys are as well. So, with that...
oh god, I don't have one. Keep it addicted to loot.
For another year.
For another year.
Hey!
Bye!